What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday evening to you. It is August 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm coming at you from Lakeland, Florida, just outside of Tampa. I see a very active chat area so far, which is great to see. I see some familiar faces as well as some new ones. So good to see everyone. As you log in, please let us know in the chat where in the world you're coming to us from. I always like to see who's close, who's far away. Anybody in Florida in here? And then anybody internationally. I know sometimes 8 p.m. is a tough international time. Maybe not if you're in Australia, but like I know some people in England, it's like middle of the night for you. So let me know where you're from. Thank you for joining today. Today we're going to be talking about drone business. I haven't done one of these presentations since January. So it's been a solid 8 months. So we're due to talk about it. And it's been a topic that I hear about all the time. We talk to pilots, people from all over the country that are interested in starting some type of drone business, making money with drones. There's a lot of opinions out there on what the state of the drone industry looks like. I've been hearing the same thing for probably 5+ years on drone business, and everybody's always complaining about the same stuff, and they think the same things are happening. But we've been able to see how it actually has taken shape and what works for people and what doesn't. So I hope to share some of that wisdom with you this evening. All right, I'm looking through the chat here. We got it all over. Great. Mississippi. I used to go to Starkville, Mississippi every year for a family reunion. My family was big Mississippi State fans, even though I'm from Florida. South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Houston, suburb of Denver, Connecticut, Kissimmee, you're close. Florida, Lubbock, Texas, Longwood, Florida. Got some Floridas in here. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Columbus. All right. My sister used to live in Columbus, Ohio. Very cold there. Fort Worth, Texas. The sister that lived in Columbus moved to Fort Worth, so I've been there. Cool. All right, coming out from all over. We got about 200 people on here right now. Fantastic to see. All right. We're doing this through StreamYard, so I can put different cool things on the screen. I assume everybody can hear me okay since you're answering in the comments. But I can do things like this. I can add my slides to the screen, which is pretty cool. I can put my face in front of it. I might do that. So these are going to be, I'll go back and forth between slides, just me, so you can see what's going on. I might share my screen a little bit. Hopefully this will be a nice interactive session. As you all are, if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat. I will likely not see all of them because I'm a one-man band here trying to present. It's hard for me. The chat gets a little distracting, so I might close the chat while I'm presenting. But I promise you there'll be time at the end for Q&A. I'll stick around for as long as you want, answer all your questions. I just need to be back at my house across the street by like 10 Eastern. So we got a full 2 hours if you want. The way it's going to work tonight is I will be doing some teaching from now, 8 p.m. to about 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll do an hour of teaching. And to be frank, we usually have about an hour's worth of Q&A. That's when I've done this in the past. So I'll stick around for as long as possible, for an hour afterwards. If we wrap up early, great. I get to go home a little bit early and go hang out, but I'm thrilled to be here with you, and I have a lot of fun doing this. So with that said, I do see a couple in here. Will it be recorded? I will answer that. So this is a YouTube live. So as soon as we're done, it just stays up on our YouTube channel. So yeah, it's being recorded right now as you see it. This is recorded. So you can come back to YouTube tomorrow. We'll probably send out a link. Actually, fun fact, I also filmed a 30-minute video. It just happens to coincide. We have a YouTube schedule. We're trying to do more long-form YouTube video content. So I recorded 30 minutes on, hey, here's my drone business advice. Some of it will be what you'll hear tonight, but some of it is a little bit new. That YouTube video is going to be released tomorrow. So you'll see an email about that where you can check that out as well for some extra stuff. So I'm going to pull my screen up and I'll talk about what we will be covering this evening. See if I can do this right here. Boom. All right. So the original, I think, pitch in the email to come to this was 4 steps to getting your first 1K with a drone business, which we will cover that. But when I was looking back at stuff I'd covered before, I looked and I was like, ooh, those are actually some good points as well that I also wanted to cover before I did sort of a 3 keys to launching a successful drone business in 2024. So I'm sort of going to combine them. So I'm going to cover the 3 keys that I think are important, and those will lead us into the 4 steps of getting your first 1K with a drone business in 2024. All right. Sound good? If you don't know who I am, I would love for you to maybe throw in the chat how you heard about this tonight, or do you even know who I am? If you're like, oh, I saw a random ad online, I've never seen you before in my life. I don't know who you are. Totally fine. I'm happy you're here today. Some of you may have been on our email list. We've been around for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, 2016. So 8 years. We've been around. So some of you just maybe longtime followers, customers. I'm also happy you're here, but I'm always curious to see who's already heard of us, or if you have no idea who I am, let me know. So I am, let me move this down here. Go. My name is David Young. I'm the founder of a company called Drone Launch Academy. Started back in 2016, and I've got a little thing I can write up here, 2016. Hopefully you can see all that. Cool. I used to be an accountant, and before that, I wanted to be an airline pilot. And so I got my pilot's license right here back in 2007. So that's roughly 17 years ago, if my mathin'. Sorry, 14 years ago. Math was not mathin'. 14 years ago, I got my private pilot certificate when I was a young lad. Realized I was kind of terrified of flying small airplanes, and so I pivoted away from that, did accounting for a while, but then eventually was brought back to drones in around the 2015 timeframe. And around then, I got something called the FAA Advanced Ground Instructor Certificate. That was 2015/16. I can't remember exactly, which is just a fancy way of saying I took some extra FAA exams to be able to sign off on people taking written FAA exams. And I did that because I started a company, and we decided to partner up with some, or get some other qualified instructors. And we started with a Part 107 prep course. That's how the company started. And we were teaching people how to pass that exam, helping them with a exam study program. And then that developed into teaching people about drone cinematography. I found somebody linked up with this guy, Alex Harris. We became friends. I was like, hey, we should, teach a course together. So he's like, cool. So he started teaching classes about drone cinematography because he had a background in that. Then I linked up with someone else who had experience doing drone roof inspections and solar stuff. So we did that. And they sort of expanded. What do people want to know about? Oh, they want to know about this in the drone industry. So I go out and I find somebody who's successfully doing that. We partner together. We make courses. We provide them to you. And that's sort of how the company has evolved. All right. So, I don't even know what my math is yet. All right. So I'm going to look. Somebody met me at Drone Launch Live 2023. Oh, great. A couple people from the Part 107 class in here. Fantastic. Kevin, I like this. Got the email, checked you out when I joined 2 weeks ago. Passed 107 after studying for only 7 days. Boom. Love to hear it. So like I said, we've done a lot of Part 107 stuff. But back in 2020, a lot of people were interested in starting a drone business, making money with drone business. They've been interested in that for a long time. But back then we decided to make a course on how to start a drone business. And since then we've launched things called like the Drone to 1K podcast, where all I do is interview successful drone entrepreneurs. We have done 6 full seasons of that, which is 60 episodes. So I've interviewed tons of successful drone entrepreneurs, everyone from an 18-year-old launching a side business up to, full-grown adults with professional service companies doing 6 figures, everything in between. So got a lot of broad coverage of this. I've done my own drone service business stuff back in the day. I was working on that when I first started Drone Launch Academy and made some money there. So I have experience in the drone service business, in Drone Launch Academy, networking with instructors, doing Drone 1K podcast, talking to people constantly. So I'm coming at this from a very broad view of what's working today, right now, in today's environment. Okay. I looked right before this call, and so far we've trained almost 50,000 students. And I say students, just people like you have taken courses, anything from commercial drone operations, starting drone businesses, just in all of our courses. So that's a really cool number. And that gives us a nice broad perspective of what's going on in the world. And then obviously I have my remote pilot certificate, which is that drone license, Part 107, whatever you're going to call it. And I got that right when the test came out in 2016, which you would hope I'd have that if we have a prep course on it. I've taken that, taken it multiple times. Very familiar with it. All right. Cool. So that's where we are. Let's look. I like to cover this too. You're in the right place. So sometimes, you come to these things, you're like, Is this for me? Am I going to learn something here? So you're in the right place if you are interested in, obviously, starting some type of drone service business, or making money with a drone, either part-time or maybe something you're hoping will lead to full-time. And we'll talk about sort of some of the differences there and what you might want to consider. If you're here to learn about advanced mapping and modeling, surveying techniques, or you're here to learn about how to shoot the most precise and beautiful real estate photography, that's not what we're going to be covering tonight. Those are great topics and things you might want to consider as you move forward. But today we're going to be talking about drone business, right? So I'm curious, throw in the chat, how many of you already have a drone business or have wanted to start one? Let me know where you're at with that journey. Because I know there's a lot of people either they're interested, they haven't really pulled the trigger, interested, and or started, but I don't want to say struggling. Maybe you're not struggling. If you weren't struggling, you were crushing it. I don't know why you're here. But if you started it, a lot of people start, they think, oh, I'm going to get my 107. I'm going to start a drone business. They get into it and then they hit some hurdles. They're like, oof, actually, I'm not getting clients, or I don't really know how to talk to people, or I don't really know what to offer. And they hit all these roadblocks and it's hard to know how to move forward. So if that's you, this is a good spot for you tonight, because we're going to try to clear some of that stuff up. So I'm going to look through some of these comments. Ready to start, want to start, wanted to start, want. Okay, cool, perfect. Oh, look at this. Sweet. Ask this guy some questions. Made $2,500. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Using drones, want to start. They have. So most people are in the planning stages. Okay. So yeah, this is a common one. Grab the LLC, but wanted to start. Just a lot of stuff gets in the way. Understand that. Maybe, okay, here's one. Marketing agency, you want to add it along with other services. Not sure. Okay. Well, sorry, there's a lot of comments. I'm just going to try to get to the bottom. All right, cool. Want to expand. So a lot of people, they're kind of, there's a lot of this. Mostly interested. Fantastic. You're in the right place. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. So here's what's going to happen tonight. So I always like to take first a look at the most recent data that I can find on the drone services industry specifically. Not I'm selling drones, not any of this other nonsense. People paying for drone services. What does that market outlook look like? What's the most recent data showing? Is it worth your time? Is it a waste of time? I think you can, we're here tonight, so I'll give you the real numbers. I said I'm not going to try to pretty it up or anything like that. Then we're going to get into our 3 keys here. These are intentionally a bit cryptic because I want to explain what they are when we get to them. I don't want you to kind of get any preconceived notions. Then I'm going to walk you through, hey, if I was in your shoes and I was going to kind of break it down, what are the 4 steps I need to take in order to hit that, my first $1,000 with some type of drone business? What does that look like? Maybe where do I need to focus first? We also have a course and program called the Drone to 1K program. I'll tell you a little about that at the end. We always like to offer deals when I do webinars. So again, if you've ever been to a webinar, I hope you know that this is not just like a giant sales pitch for that course. You're going to be doing solid learning and teaching good stuff. And then I'll just say at the end, hey, if you have this, we have this. If you want it, here's a little deal on it, and put that up there, and then we can keep rolling. I'm also going to talk about what are the trending services I see in 2024. Like if you were starting out as a beginner, or like a lot of people on here, I'm at the beginning. What trending services or what services should I focus on? What's good for me? So I'll talk about some of those things I'm seeing. And then I did say I was going to give away a Mini 3 drone. And you might be thinking, Mini 3? Why Mini 3? They got Mini 4s out now, Dave. You trying to be cheap? No, there's a specific reason why I'm giving the Mini 3 away. It's got certain advantages over the Mini 4, in my opinion, and some of these other ones. So I'll explain that when we get there. But we're going to give one away. That's like a roughly, $400, $500 drone. So we're going to give that away. I'm going to do my best to make it as fair as possible. There's always people who are like, oh, this didn't happen right, or this didn't happen right. I think I got a system that's going to work, but trying to make it fair and random so there's no input for me. And then Q&A. Stick around for Q&A. So that's the plan here, okay? That is the plan. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the comments. I'll try to keep up with it, but again, I might not get to it all. Please be patient and make sure you throw it in Q&A at the end, and I'll do things like this where I'll I can click here, I can put your question on the screen, we can talk about it, and then I can pull it down. Okay, so that's my plan. Yeah, like here, you know what drones I need for photogrammetry and LiDAR, blah, blah, blah. Boom. I can answer all those questions at the end. So first things first, drone services outlook. Maybe I should move my face off to the side here. Is this, oh, I don't think that's what we want. That's too small. Let's go for this. Okay, that's better. That way you can see it. All right, I pulled this up. literally at Starbucks, maybe 3 hours ago. This was published August 2024. We're in August of 2024. So I think these are always interesting to look at. Now, you know, just a word of caution with any forward-looking statements, right? These people are just making their best estimates and guesses. There's no way to predict the future truly, but we do now have a pretty good amount of historical data on the drone industry, right? It's been around the commercial drone industry, if you want to consider Part 107, even though it started a little bit before that, that's been around since 2016. So we're at 8 years in. So at least we have some historical data to see what's going on and what the future looks like. But according to this verified market research, they have this really huge 200-page report. But the nice part is they give you a little summary at the beginning. And what I want to focus on is down here, this number. So I don't know if you guys know what CAGR is. That's compounded annual growth rate. So they're saying roughly 24%. That's compounded year over year. So that would mean if you have a number that's 100, the next year it's going to be 124. Then you're going to multiply 24% times this number. So it's going to be more than 148. It's going to be, I'm not going to do the math, 160 something. So it ends to look like this, right? The sort of curve rate. So hey, good number. It's going to grow right now. It's saying in 2024, it's going to have a valuation of 22.78 billion. Kind of hard to know how to put billions in your head, but it says it's going to take it to 127 billion by 2031. So that's in the next, 7 years. 7 years or so. So obviously, hey, it's going up. Good news. Newspapers going down. You want something that's going whoop up like this. Another one I found, just so you know, I'm not totally cherry picking. This one actually is also recent, August 12th. So, 2 weeks ago ish. They're actually saying that this is going to grow. We were looking here. Oh, no, that's not market share. Compounded annual growth rate. Here it is. 36.6%. 30, we'll just say 36%. So they're saying even higher. And this is from Fortune Business Insights. So again, I don't know who you want to go with, but we'll call it, 30-ish%, okay, growth. And that sounds good, right? 30% growth. I would love it if Drone Launch Academy grew 30% every year, right? Hopefully you run a business that's growing. And I've seen this too in just the drone industry, looking around, working with a lot of companies. So for instance, right now we're creating another course called Advanced Drone Mapping and Modeling. And in that course, I've linked up with people who are in like different geospatial people. We've got one guy, he's an instructor. He's a survey manager at the third or fourth largest construction and engineering firm in the whole country. They do billions of dollars worth of construction. And he uses drones on there. And he talks about how when he hires people and they're doing survey or control work or different mapping, modeling things for the construction company, he wants them to fly drones. They use drones for all their projects. They fly it every week. They have 600 stakeholders who are viewing their drone data at any given time, right? So I've seen industry start to adopt this. When drones first came out, insurance adjusters were like, nope, we're not relying on drone data to look at the roofs. Now I ran into someone at a conference from a large insurance carrier. I don't want to get in trouble, so I won't say their name, but I talked to them like, yeah, we're training, 100, 200 pilots or of our insurance adjusters to get their Part 107 to start doing using drones in that process. So it's definitely getting adopted more and more. And you might think, oh, this is all in-house stuff. No, like that guy I mentioned who works for that huge construction and engineering firm. I said, do you guys only do in-house or do you hire outside? He's like, oh, no, we hire outside people pretty frequently for, let's say, a job site's further away than where our kind of main core is, or, the way we can't rotate it into our schedule. We'll bring other people in as long as they're qualified, they know what they're doing. So there's definitely opportunities for that. And you'll see that the work is there, but it's there for the right people. And we're going to talk about what you might need. But I just want to let you know, the saying, the rising tide lifts all boats. There's a reason I got into the drone industry back then, because I see, there's a lot of future here, a lot of potential. And I'd rather be in an industry that's growing than shrinking, right? Okay, so I think it's worth everyone's time. I'm obviously biased, right? Because this is my company, but you can decide for yourself after looking around. Okay, and I like to compare that to the rest of the economy. So I just pulled this from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. It's a government organization. So I put our 30% here. If you look, the US GDP grew by an annualized 1.4% in the first quarter of 2024 and 2.8% in the second quarter. So we'll call it 1 to 3% GDP growth, right? We're like kind of in here. And the drone services industry is consistently growing pretty strong, at 30%. It's adapting quickly. So if you'd rather be in here, U.S. economy, doing any other profession, It's good, still growing slowly, but I'd rather be over here where even if I'm bad at it, as long as I stay in the game, I got a good chance of picking up some of that growth, right? It's always better to be in the game than looking in from the outside. All right, you guys ready to dive into some keys? All right. All right, let's do this. Number one, offering this will not make you more money. What do you guys think the answer to this is? What do you think I'm talking about when I say this? Let me know. I'm going to take a sip of my drink and I might look at a couple questions. It's like my ritual before I do webinars. I go to Starbucks, I get a cold brew, and then I update slides and grab new research and think about things I'm going to talk about. Free stuff, discounts, free services. Ooh, discounts, free. I think somebody remembers from last time. Drone photography brokers, free work. So a lot of free work, a lot of free services. Anything else? I see one person got it right. Look at this. Linnell. She is correct. That's my exact word I was going to use. All right. Free drones during training. That is true. That will lose you money, but all right. That is true. So everything, offering everything won't make you more money. I know it is a huge temptation at first. It's a huge temptation at first to be like, okay, I'm not exactly sure what to offer or what kind of companies to target. So what I'm going to do on my website is I'm going to say I offer everything. That way, if somebody comes to my website and they're looking for this, I don't miss out on it, right? Everybody's afraid to miss out on a potential customer. And that fear of missing out on a potential customer causes you to try to spread your offerings very wide, okay? And by doing so, you dilute your credibility and your value. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try things at first, right? Like if you don't know what to do at first, it's okay to kind of experiment, to try to figure out what your niche is. Maybe you do a bunch of different types of jobs. You kind of do some self-reflection and analysis about your background and where you might have the most success. And we talk about this and some other things we do. But once you know that and you know what you like doing, you have a feel for where you might get some customers. I would try to niche down as quickly as possible on that once you find that. And we're going to dive more into this. But I want to illustrate this with a story. You might have heard this before. So, I don't know if you guys have been following me for a while, you might know that I had some genetic heart disorder that I inherited from my mom, and now 3 of my kids have it. But it caused the muscle in my heart to be too thick, and it was causing problems. So I had to have open heart surgery. So I found out like, yeah, you're gonna need to have open heart surgery. We have to cut a bunch of your heart tissue out that's kind of blocking blood flow. I thought, okay, well that sounds intense. And so I have a problem now. I have a problem. All right, what am I going to do about this? Who do I want to solve this problem? So I'm doing research. I'm just trying to figure out, learn more about this condition and what it's involved. So I'm looking at research papers, and I'm trying to what I really want to see is how many people die from this. So I was looking at mortality rates, and I was looking at all these things, all these studies, and this one name kept coming up pretty often: Dr. Nicholas Smadira, Dr. Nicholas Smadira. And the procedure I needed was a specific type of procedure called a myectomy. So I'm looking those up, and one name kept popping up, or a few collection of names. And this guy had done 3,000 of them. Okay, he was at Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. And as I'm evaluating who I want to do this surgery, do you think I'm going to be like, I'm going to go to my family doctor in Lakeland, Florida, the same guy who, when my ear hurts, is going to give me, whatever, antibiotics for an ear infection? Should I go to him and be like, hey, by the way, while I'm here for my ear infection, mind sawing me in half and fixing this problem I have with my heart? Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. If I go to a website for a doctor and I see that they do all these different things, I'm not going to trust that person with heart surgery, because I want someone who's so familiar with that problem and so familiar with what they do that if anything goes wrong or if there's any sort of contingencies, they know exactly how to handle it. They've done it before, and I know for sure, I have a lot of confidence that person's going to fix my problem. So what I do, I got my butt on a plane, went to Cleveland, got a hotel for 2 weeks, and camped out. The guy crushed it. I'm great, feel good, right? So all turned out well. But if I would have gone with someone else, maybe not so much. So think about that in terms of your customer, right? So say somebody's got a problem. Let's go real estate agent. Everything's an easy thing to understand. Real estate agent says, I see all these other agents offering, they have drone photos or they have cool like FPV fly throughs. I want that. I need to find somebody who does that. They go to your website and they see, oh, I do, agricultural spraying with drones. And then I also do promo videos of this. And then I also work with mines to do, stockpile analysis. Oh, and I've done 3 real estate videos. They see that versus they see someone says, we are a real estate media service end-to-end company, and here's the 3,500 clients we work with or whatever, right? They're specialized. Go, oh, they seem to be the experts in fixing what I need and solving my problem. So they're able to take that and say, oh, this is what I need. This is the person I want. Conversely, if you are an engineer and you're like, I need somebody to come out here and give me some accurate, topographical information about my site, so I know how much dirt I need to move and I can estimate costs and things like that. They go to your website like, I need somebody who's done this before. They know what they're doing. If I give them some design files and I give them some other information, they're going to be able to help me with this. And they see that you're doing a lot of promos for birthday parties with your drone. They're going to be like, oh, this guy's not in the field that I'm in, and I should go elsewhere, right? So eventually, offering everything is going to sort of kick you in the butt. So does that make sense? You guys kind of understand where you're going with that. It's okay to do it first, but eventually you really need to not offer everything and niche down. I have an example of this actually. So one of my friends, Jeff Carrillo, he teaches in some other workshops and classes we've done. He actually presented at Drone Launch Live thing we did last year. But at first he did this. He had a company and it had more of a broad name, and he was offering a bunch of stuff. So he literally was doing car dealership promos and some other stuff, but he started doing thermography work and doing roof inspections of commercial roofs and facades. And that started to be an interesting business for him. Well, he got more and more of that work, but he had to manage both, right? He was trying to do this work, and then people were calling him to do car dealership stuff. And I remember him coming being like, Dave, I don't know, should I split this off? And he was debating that. So he decided, I'm just going to close down that half of the business so I can just focus. He actually split the business in 2 and branded him separately. Sorry, my camera shuts off every 30 minutes. He branded him separately. So that way clients wouldn't come to website and see all this other stuff he did. So that is an option if you really want to keep your feet in both ponds. But I would then focus on one customer so you can really nail their problem and help them with that. Okay. And now he does really well. He built it into a 6-figure business, doing, thermography. Really, he does moisture detection for commercial buildings. And again, we'll talk about it in a minute. That's sort of focusing on the problem and not just the tool. Okay. So that's the first key. Don't offer everything eventually. Okay. That's not going to make you more money in the end. Okay. Cool. Number 2, saturation won't kill you, but these 2 things will. What do you think my 2 things are that will kill you? That is not saturation. And while you're doing that, I'm going to type up this, or maybe I'll wait and I'll put this quote up here. Let me know. What do you think the 2 things are? We're going to go back to the old cold brew sipperoo. Pricing, not taking care of your customer, pricing yourself above the market. Lack of skill. I mean, some of these are true. Customer service, overpromise, lack of marketing, quality. Pretty good answers. If nobody can find you in bad work, overextending yourself, customer service. Let a few more roll in, not charging enough, trying to be perfect, not delivering on time. Again, many things here. All right. So it comes back to something we touched on a second ago. So if people are worried about saturation, when do things get saturated? Things get saturated when things become a commodity. If you don't know what a commodity is when everybody's offering something that are sort of indistinguishable from each other, and then therefore the only thing you're competing on is price. So if you are a person who has just a Part 107 license and you own a drone and you really don't have anything else outside of that, you just say, hey, if you'd like to hire me, I can put my drone in the air and I can take some pictures for you and I can give them to you, right? How many other people can do that? A lot, right? So now if I'm somebody who I need a drone pilot who can just take off and do that, I've got a lot of choices. So then I'm going to go, cool, skill doesn't really matter. A lot of these other things don't matter. I'm just going to go pick on price, and that's what drives prices down. Think about it like gas stations. Okay? I've used this example before, but it was a long time ago, so I'm not sure if any of you were there for that. But gas stations are a commodity. Gas stations, right? What happens when one gas station goes up? Across the street, another gas station goes up. Maybe there's 1 penny difference, but that's what happened. Gas, it goes down so low to where they're barely making any margin on it. And how do gas stations really make their money? Right? They want you to get out of the car, and they want you to walk into the store. That's where they're going to make money. So there's a gas station, or 2 gas stations in particular, that I think are interesting use case examples for us, and we can learn a lot from that and bring that back into the drone world. Is Wawa. You guys ever heard of Wawa? And I know you guys have heard of this one probably. Buc-ee's. Okay. You guys ever heard of Buc-ee's and Wawa? All right. The snacks. Yeah. So Wawa is absolutely crushing it. They're expanding a lot. Buc-ee's crushing it. I tried to drive somewhere. I was driving back from a conference in Alabama. Okay. I was just trying to get some gas for my car. I didn't even care about going inside Buc-ee's. I just needed to stop. And I waited. There was a giant line. By the time I got in it, I couldn't get out of the line. I was stuck. It was like coned in and all this stuff. I had to weave around in traffic for like 20 minutes just to get to a gas pump because they were trying to funnel people into the parking lot of Buc-ee's. Insane, right? Wawa, another one. Their average order value is like 80%. I looked it up the other day. Is 80% higher than other gas stations. Why is that, right? Same thing with Buc-ee's. Well, what's the problem people have when they come to a gas station? Yeah, they need gas. Everyone needs gas. That's not really your differentiating factor, right? Otherwise, they would just be a commodity. If Wawa just offered gas and nothing else, they would not be successful. They go, what is my customer's problem? Let's focus on a specific problem. And let's solve that better than other people. Well, Wawa, they have good food. I think they won like first or second best sandwich, not just for a gas station, but for like any sandwich place. I don't know what competition it was, but I saw it. So they got like really good food, apparently. I haven't had their sandwiches, but other stuff. I think they were voted second cleanest bathrooms, or like top 1 or 2 in cleanest bathrooms. So they're cool. We're going to differentiate ourselves on other things and attract people through a different way. So that way, there's 4 gas stations around, commodity. Wawa always packed. Buc-ee's always packed, because they found ways to solve other problems for their customers that makes them different and helps them stand out when anybody else going, oh, start a gas station. What a horrible idea, right? Well, yeah, if you're just going to start a gas station. Same thing with drone pods. You hear people say, oh, man, it's so saturated, right? Like, why would you ever become a drone pilot? Well, yeah, if you're just going to get your Part 107 and buy a drone and then just like pray to the business and drone gods that someone gives you money to put your drone in the air, stupid idea, right? That's not going to work. So I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated. They have the misconception, I just need to get a license and a drone and I'm good. No. You've got to find a ways to solve specific problems, right? So I kind of typed this in reverse, but the thing what will kill you is not solving specific problems, right? Assuming that, not solving specific problems, assuming that just having the equipment and the license is going to get you somewhere. No, you got to focus on specific problems. And let me give you a drone example. Bring us back to the drone world. There's a guy, Brian Coster. I don't know if he's on here or not. He's been a great drone launch customer. He's been to Drone Launch Live. We're buddies now. And he was telling me he's tried everything. He tried mapping. He tried real estate. He's tried a lot of different niches to see what he likes best. Well, he found that one time, I don't know if he got a call, if it was like an inbound call or he found someone at a conference, but it was an attorney who was like, hey, I'd like you to go out and collect some information for me. They needed some documentation about a site where an accident had happened. So he's able to go and document some stuff for the attorney and say, oh, like actually, this was what the site looked like on this date versus this, what they said. And he said, oh, this is interesting. This seems to be a problem. They're not able to access these certain sites to see things, and I can get that perspective with the drone. So then he got a job, I think either with that same attorney or another one, where I think what was being alleged was that there were certain contaminants from an area flowing over and spilling onto someone else's property, sort of like contaminating that area, right? And that was what the allegation was. And so Brian was able to work with the attorney and actually get some documented data and proof. So instead of just showing pictures and being like, oh, I don't think this stuff came from over there, Brian was able to actually map that area and show the elevation changes and show that the area leading up to the adjacent property actually went uphill. So I think some of the things they were talking about were like cigarette butts and some other trash and things like that. And so he was able to put that mapping data in front of a jury in the elevation data and say, hey, so if what they're saying is true, they're alleging that these cigarette butts rolled uphill for 60 feet. That doesn't sound very plausible to me. So Brian found, ooh, there's certain things I can use my drone for. The attorney doesn't necessarily care that I have a drone. What the attorney cares about is, ooh, I can get documentation and I can get other sorts of intelligence and data that helps prove certain conditions or certain what the facts are in a given area for a given set of facts. So he focused on, I'm going to solve these attorneys' problems by getting them data in areas that they otherwise couldn't to help them with their cases. Because that's, you got to think, what does my customer care about? Does he care about like, ooh, I want to go hire drone pilots? No, he wants to win cases for his or her client. And so if you can help them do that, right, that's what you want. Another person, Jeremiah Oshwald, he works with real estate agents doing primarily video. And he told me, because I always thought when I was first looking at this, that real estate agents, oh, they care about this because it'll help them sell the home faster. And he goes, David, that's surprising. It's going to surprise you, but that's not really what they care about. Yeah, maybe the homes sell faster, but that's not why they hire me. I'm like, oh, really? The problem that real estate agents have is that they want, at least listing agents, right? They're trying to sell the home. Their whole thing is they need to get new people to come to them to want to sell their homes. So they're competing with other real estate agents for the listings. Well, what do customers, like the home sellers, care about? They want somebody who's going to market their home really well. One of the things they look at is, what has this person done marketing wise and package wise for other people, right? If one real estate agent says, hey, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring a photographer in, we'll take a couple photos. A lot of real estate agents that take it with their cell phone, right? I'm going to come in and I'll just take pictures with my cell phone and we'll throw it up on the MLS, right? If that's what one real estate agent pitches you and the other one says, hey, I've got a team that's going to come in, we're going to do drone photos, drone video, sunset, floor plans, 3D tours, all this stuff. And then we're going to put that package out and that's going to go out to everyone that sees your home. And it's a pretty clear choice, right? So that attracts new home buyers to work with that real estate agent. So what he's selling to that real estate agent is not, hey, I've got a drone, I can come take some pictures of your house. Real estate agent doesn't necessarily care about that. But what he articulates is, hey, if you have this high quality photos, videos, drone stuff, all these other things, that is going to bring more listings to you and you will get more customers and you will make more money. And then they're like, cool, that sounds great. So really just the drone is just a tool. Drone, just a tool. Okay. And you're likely in whatever business you're going to do, you're not going to have to use some other tools. Some ground cameras if you're doing real estate stuff. If you're doing mapping and you're doing advanced stuff, you're going to need base stations and GNSS receivers. If you're doing, let's see, some other type of work like Jeff Carrillo doing thermography, right? He's got his drone that has thermal cameras on it, but sometimes he's got to get on a roof or hire someone to come and take a core sample of the roof and work with someone else. So again, you got to focus on solving that problem. Drone's just a tool. Don't think about, I've got a drone, someone's going to hire me, right? So that's number one, not solving a specific customer problem. And then number two, someone nailed it earlier, not being findable. So the unfortunate reality is that you do not have to be the best service provider, product, smartest person, whatever, to get the most business. Okay. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Whoever usually is findable and can do this, right? They can meet this customer problem, then you're going to get the business. Because when someone starts, they have a problem, they're going to go, I need to hire someone for this. They're going to start getting on Google. Maybe they'll start seeing podcast episodes of someone, or maybe they're going to see, an article they wrote, or maybe they see their Instagram reel, whatever it is, they're going to start to see those things. That person is just going to become the most visible. And they say, oh, if this person does what I need, cool, I'm just going to go with them. I've seen this time and time again where you look and you're like, this isn't even like the best solution. Like you might think, I'm better than them. I know how to do this better than they do. But that other person is just better at marketing, at putting themselves out there, at, again, being findable. That person is going to get more business with you, more business than you, provided that they can still solve that problem adequately. If you're very findable, but you suck at what you do, eventually that word's going to get out. You're going to get poor reviews and, that'll wear off. But if you can, solve that problem and be findable, that's killer combo. So what does being findable look like? We'll talk about that more in just a minute. But I'm going to give you a quick story. Kevin Olson, again, another drone launch guy. He's been taking courses. He's come to Florida. I've met him. He works full time for the government, but as a side gig, he flies his drone and he puts stuff on Instagram. And he got very, very consistent with posting things on Instagram every day. And he is extremely findable. If you look, people see him all the time, and he's gotten really good at like tagging the right accounts and taking certain shots in certain ways where people will share it. And so he's grown his just Instagram, and he never has asked for business in his life. Like, oh, hey, can I come work for you? Or, hey, can I do this? He's never like solicited business. People just find him from, he's got a good website and an Instagram, and that's it. And he gets business all the time. He says he had to raise his rates and start turning down business just because he's like, I don't want to be working my entire weekend outside of my job. So I raised my prices and I was able to make more money. And now he's got like a really solid, side hustle. He makes, I think, 5 figures a year just doing side drone work. And he does really, really well at it. So we'll talk more about that in a minute, but you got to be findable. You can't just count on your skill alone. No, if no one hears about you, there's no way that they know you can help them. Okay. All right. So a couple people got some of these. So great job, everybody. All right. Moving along here. I got key number 3, and then I want to get into the 4 steps. Okay. So key number 3 is you don't have to have this at the beginning. What do you think? What do you think this is? And while you guys are typing that in, I'm gonna look at some old chats. Looks like people are going big on on Buc-ee's and Wawa here. Buc-ee's and Wawa. Beaver nuggets. What are beaver nuggets? Beaver chips? I've only been inside of a Buc-ee's twice, so I don't even know what's in there. I was so overwhelmed walking in. I don't know. I think I bought some candied pecans and then walked out. I've never seen so much beef jerky in my life. If you guys have ever been to Buc-ee's, I think the beef jerky counter alone was like 40 feet long. I'm not even exaggerating. It was bigger than most like deli sections at grocery stores. I didn't even know that you could move that much beef jerky. This was in like North Florida. Beaver nuggets, interesting. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna go down. Okay, so what you don't have to have what? Most expensive drone, money, experience, top of the line equipment, website, LLC. Oh, this is a good one. A lot of people do get caught up in. That's not the answer to this, but that is true. People get sort of that progress high of like, ooh, I created my LLC. I got a bank account. I'm in business. You need that at some point, but that's not the most thing. All right. Expensive equipment, license, expensive drones. So a lot of these are true. Sorry, I read this as you don't have to have a good brisket sandwich at the beginning, but I realized you were talking about Buc-ee's probably. Experience, expensive drone. Okay, so a lot of these are true. You don't have to have an expensive drone, and you don't have to have all that. That was not my point, although you are correct. What I was going to say was confidence. Now, that might sound like a weird answer, but it's something I see more often than you think. I actually just got an email from a longtime drone launch customer in person. Again, I've met him. We went to dinner one time when I was in town with him. He makes or has made thousands of dollars with his drone. Again, he just does it as a side thing. And he literally emailed me yesterday, going, Dave, it just hit me. Like, I realized I've asked him to be on the podcast before, and he's like, no, I can't do it. And all this. And he's like, I feel like I'm not good enough to do those things. I can't be on the podcast because I haven't like made it yet, or I don't have that confidence to go out there. We've taken surveys before, like, what do you guys struggle most with? And a lot of it's like, I just don't know what to offer. I'm just not sure. I just found a lot of people lack confidence, and they use that. That gets in the way of them moving forward and taking some action. So how do you get confidence, right? Confidence comes from just experience. All right. And how do you get experience? Yeah, it's nice to get experience, flying drones. You can fly a drone just by yourself, right? So that helps with confidence. Some people are not confident with their flight abilities. They're not confident with the software. So you can go out there and practice and get some reps. But let me tell you a story real quick of a guy we had on the podcast, Blake Score. He's on the Drone to 1K podcast, season 6. Season 6. Have you guys ever heard Blake Score's episode? Let me know. And if while you're telling me that, I'll tell you a little story. So Blake is a high schooler, or was. I think when I interviewed him, he was 18. And I don't know, a lot of people I go to interview on the podcast, I don't know what they're going to look like or who they are before I show up. I know their name. That's it. And I know that they filled out a thing talking about how much money they made and some of their experience and all that. But I don't know what they look like. So he pops on the call, and I mean, he looks young. 18, technically an adult, but I was expecting, most of the people I interview are adults, right? They're in 50, 20, they're like 25, 30, 35. He popped in 18, and I was like, oh, you're Blake. Okay. Well, I was like, well, let's hear what Blake has to say. I'm interested to see how he's done this. And if anybody had a reason not to have confidence, it's Blake, right? I think he had a DJI Spark. I don't know if you guys remember that. It is so old. It's like before the DJI Mini. Not a great drone. I don't even know if you could even find one anymore. That's what he had. And he was like, oh, I'm just going to go after this and do it. He had reason, not really to have much confidence. Didn't have great equipment. He's young. People, if he walked in and started pitching someone, they'd be like, what are you? Who are you? You know? So he was just like, I'm just going to go try it. Right. So he didn't really have a reason to be confident, is what I'm saying. But he decided, I'm going to go do it anyways. So he went and he said, I looked at a ski resort, and they didn't really have any videos of any of their runs. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what to expect. So I just reached out to him. I think he just emailed him and said, hey, I noticed you don't have any video footage of your ski resort. I'd love to shoot some with my drone. I'm going to do it I'll do it for free. You can use it if you want to. If you don't, that's totally fine. And then they were like, oh, well, what about liability? So they worked through that, ended up just shooting it for him for free. Gave it to him, did a pretty good job, and then they hired him, and he ended up getting paid for that work. So all I have to say is you got to start somewhere. If you don't have confidence, don't let that stop you. Go out, get some experience. I would say do some free work so you don't have an obligation. You don't feel pressure to like do really well. And then once you do free work, try to do paid work. And I know a lot of people are against free work, but let me tell you this. If you listen to all 60 of those podcast episodes, go take 50 to 60 hours of your life and go offer free work and do some free jobs and build that will turn into paid work. I'm telling you, that's how everybody's done it. Don't offer free work if you're already getting offered paid work. So some people are like, oh, never do free jobs. That's a waste of time. Well, yeah, obviously, if you're getting paid, like Kevin Olson isn't going to go around just doing free work. But at the beginning, if you're building your skills, that's the only way to really get in reps. So either do it for yourself, build up your reel, or do it for other people. All right. You can say whatever you want, but I've talked to so many people, and this works. One thing I was going to recommend too is, if you can, I'm going to recommend something called paid to practice, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, that's another option. Okay, paid to practice. All right. So that is just something I want to say. You don't have to have confidence or experience at the beginning. You can go out and do it. If you let that stop you, you'll never start. And that's how you want to live. It's up to you. But nobody has much confidence when they first start out. You just got to be dedicated to it. Okay. All right. 4 steps to your first 1K. What do you guys think they are? Don't offer free. Wrong. You got to offer it unless you're already good. If you're already good and you already got people paying for you, then don't offer it for free. But at first, you have to. All right. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit him with me. Rob a bank. Great answer. First steps. Have you guys seen Key and Peele? Oops. Oh yeah, that works. Have you guys seen Key and Peele where they're like they're planning to rob a bank? He's like, first we're gonna interview for jobs. Then we're gonna work there. We're gonna collect a paycheck, and then they're just gonna pay us every week for the rest of our lives. And then one day we're gonna retire, and they're not even gonna know what hit them. And he's like, dude, you just talked about a job. That's it. Not robbing a bank. Okay, let's see. So yeah. So first off, the obvious answer: get your Part 107 license. That's the first one. You can definitely start flying a drone and practicing without that. But if you're going to start making money with drone, you're going to do anything commercial, got to get your Part 107. If you decide you do want to do business, it's just the necessary first step. Okay. So to do that, the test with PSI is $175. So consider that. And then any other money you might want to spend on like study guides, prep courses, or whatever you'd like to use for that. Okay. So that's step one. Boom. All right. Step two. Let's talk about this. Get paid to practice. Oop, hold on. I'll do paid to practice / build portfolio. And I'm not talking about like, I'm an art student with a portfolio. I'm saying you got to have a body of work. Because here's the deal. When someone goes to hire you, they want to know, have you done this before? If I hire you, what assurances do I have that you're going to give me a result that I need, right? Even if it's free work. So that's why a lot of times people get like turned down for free work. Because they think there's some strings attached. A lot of people are like, hey, can I do free work? And they're like, no, I'm good, because that's all they say. And so they go, oh, well, no one wants free work. I can't even get free work. If you said to someone, hello, I'm new, I'm starting a business. I am trying to get my portfolio together. I see that you have this need. I would love to try to do it for you for free. It will help me. You got to tell them what's in it for you. It will help me because I can add things to my portfolio. It'll help you because you'll have this promo video, or you'll have this map that you can use for whatever. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. Also, I'm happy to get in liability insurance, so that way there's no risk to you. Do you understand? If you don't tell them how it's going to help you, they think that you have some hidden agenda, some hidden motive, and that turns them off. So if you're getting shut down for free work, maybe that's why. You got to tell them, hey, listen, here's why I'm willing to do this. Okay. Normally I would charge for this, but I want to make sure that I'm doing good work first. And so I need something for my portfolio. Does that sound like a fair trade? And then that will, I've tried that with real estate agents. It works. So someone said they talked to 100 different real estate agents and brokers. I think I talked to 2, maybe 3, and I got success almost every time using that. Okay. So try that out. So you need to build a portfolio. 2 and 3 can kind of be a little bit interchangeable. Okay. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. So that's the first one. And when I say paid to practice, here's what I mean. So there are things called drone job networks. Drone job networks. Again, people sometimes get hung up on this. They're like, but drone job networks, they don't pay very well. You are correct. And the reason they don't pay very well is because of what I talked about before. You are basically offering yourself out as a commodity to most of these drone job networks. They just need a warm body with a license to go up there and get some photos and hand it over to them so that they can do the processing or the editing or whatever it is, right? You're just following their instructions, grabbing the documentation, and they're moving on. They're the ones who paid to do the marketing, paid the salespeople to go out and find those gigs, negotiate the contracts. They're usually the ones doing the processing, the client follow-up, and finding more business. All the other aspects of running a business they're doing, and they're just hiring you as a subcontractor for a sliver, hence why it is that they don't pay very much. So with that, I always tell people, you're never going to build a business off of drone job networks, right? You're going to get paid on the low end $50, on the high end several $100s. And I know this because we have a drone to 1K course, and as people go through it, they log their revenue that they're making so they can qualify for different tiers. Like when you make your first $1,000 a month, we give you like a plaque and stuff. And I can look through here, and I'm looking, one of them was for a drone job network, and it was like, it was actually this one's 420. That's not bad. Another one was like $100, $160. I'm just looking at my little database here. 150. So most of them are at least $100 or more. I don't see many that are under that. But again, that's not. You're not going to be like, oh man, I'm so pumped to do this job for $100. You'd have to do a lot of those, so you want to get it up a little bit more. So don't get salty about the drone job networks. Just use them to your advantage. Say, cool, I'm new. If they're going to pay me to go out there and build my portfolio and build my confidence, get some reps in, I'm happy to do that. But you're going to know in your mind, this is a stepping stone to doing my own thing, get my own clients, being able to do the rest of that sort of business wheel, if you will, for the creating value. Real quick, I'm going to show you a couple drone job networks. So I mentioned we had that drone to 1K course. I have it pulled up here. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see this. This is our drone to 1K course. In the first week, we have broken down like different steps. So I have paid to practice. So start. So we tell people, hey, we want you to make money in your very first week that you're doing this stuff. And how you can do that, it's not going to be a lot, but it is sort of a confidence booster. Like, cool, I flew my drone. I had money. I got money. Sweet. Okay. So here's a list of drone job networks, and we give you like little points and stuff for joining them. So this is all the main ones we could find. Sold by Heirs Real Estate. Drone Up. That's less of a network, more like they're hiring like subcontractors and stuff. This one's probably not as relevant. They kind of consolidated their operations. Droners.io is a good one. That one actually is a little bit more lucrative because they give you that customer relationship. They just take a transaction fee in the middle, right? Airweb Digital, Drone Base. Now this is now called ZiteView. Fly Guys, they're expanding. OBO is another real estate one. Bark, that one you can sort of like pay for leads, but it does lead to some gigs. Thumbtack, Drone Genuity, Drone Quote. There's a couple others that I would mention too that I would add to this list is Bees 360. They do inspection stuff. And I feel like there was another one recently, like Drone. I think it's Drone Bros. They're going to come on one of our. They're doing like a Q&A thing with us where they're hiring people for like construction inspections. So if you just type in Drone Job Network, that should come up with a lot. And I would just go. It doesn't take long to join them. Join them. You usually have to give you like your Part 107 certificate number, and they'll sign you up, and you can see kind of what jobs are in your area and get some gigs that way, right? Also, I'm realizing that someone said they can't see a purple pen. Let me see if I can change to green. I didn't even think about that. My apologies. Can you see this, Lisa? Hopefully. Okay. All right. And I can go back to those during the Q&A, but I wanted to give you that. Okay. So that's what I would do next. So if I were you, I go, cool, got my Part 107 license. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start flying my drone. I'm gonna get practice. I'm gonna go get paid to practice. I'm gonna figure out sort of, especially if I don't know what niche I want to go to, this is where I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna try to figure out what niche I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna try, maybe I'll try to get a mapping job. Maybe I'll try to do some real estate. I'll do some of this stuff to figure out what I like. But once you know what you like, you have got to pick a niche. Pick a niche. And this just goes back to, if you're going to solve a specific problem, you have to pick a niche, because there's no way for you to get really good at solving so many different problems really, really well. And even if you did, clients don't view that the same way. They want to see that you focus on something specifically, Like, what would you think about me if I'm teaching you this stuff on drone courses, and then you saw that I also had another company where I teach people how to start, like how to, start their own nursery farm, like gardening. And then you saw somewhere else that I don't know, owned a bakery and spent my time over there. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's splitting his time so many different directions. He doesn't seem like he's focused on this. Is he really the expert that I want to be listening to? I'd be impressed. Okay. That was the best illustration. But you'll be so much better at solving problems. I'm good at this because all I do every day is think about drones, talk to people who are using drones, I go to events, I go to conferences where they're talking about the drone industry, the drone problems. I go meet with people at schools to see what do their students want to know about drones. That's all I do, right? Is think about drones. So now when you come to talk to me, I feel very confident talking about drones in the drone industry because this is all I do. I'm not out there doing other stuff. My friend sold a coffee shop the other day, and someone was like, oh, you want to go in with me? Maybe we can like put some money together and buy it. I thought, yeah, that sounds cool. But you know what? I'm focused on this, right? This is my thing. I'm going to be good at this so that people will trust me with this. So that's what I would do. Pick a niche. Now you could do this first. You could make this number 2 if you already know that you have certain experience in an industry. So if you worked in construction, then I would just go into construction, because the biggest thing people don't do well is they don't understand the specific problems that people have. So they're like, oh, cool, I want to go work in the construction industry. Well, they're going to go on a job site and they're like, hey, can I fly drones for you? And they're going to go, well, why would I want you to fly a drone? And you're going to go, I don't know. I thought you guys would want that. Horrible sales pitch, right? You need to know why they would even care. That's like your value proposition, right? Well, how do you do that? You got to go immerse yourself in their world. Go to a construction conference. Go, call up people in the industry and say, hey, and I'll talk about this in a minute, how you can do this. Talk to them, find excuses to talk to them, understand what they need, right? That's what you need. So that's what you need to do. Pick a niche, pick some specific problems. All right. And then number 4, we're going to do it in 2 ways. Okay. So we're going to do, and we talked about this earlier. Once I picked a niche and I had some portfolio stuff, then I would work on making myself findable. All right, I'm just going to write findable here. And I can do this in 2 ways. Okay, 1, 2. And this is assuming that you don't want to, you're not comfortable cold calling, knocking on doors, doing those types of things. A lot of people don't like that, which I can understand. I don't really like doing that. That's another way you can do outbound sales. If you're good at outbound sales, finding the top 50 businesses and shooting them an email one at a time, or just randomly picking up the phone and calling people. That's effective. It's uncomfortable. But I would say it's effective if you can get it right. But a lot of people don't want to do that. So this is for the people who are wanting people to come to them, right? They're an attractor. So how do you become findable? This is for any business, right? I need to do this for Journal Launch Academy. If you have a service business, you need to do that for your service business. This is how I found the doctor that I picked for my heart surgery. Why? When I Googled stuff, he's the guy who came up. When I looked at research papers, his name were on them. When I looked at YouTube, he had a video describing the surgery, right? Oh, obviously this is the guy who can solve my problem. I don't remember who said it, but there's somebody who says, your customer will choose you if you can describe their problem to them better than anyone else. They will assume that you have the solution to it if you can describe it the best, because they think, oh, this person understands me, therefore they can clearly solve my problem. Okay. So Findable, how would you do it? 2 ways. And I'm going to pull this from a little bit in the course, something we teach in week 3, because this is like an 8-week course we have. And then something we teach in week 7. So let's start with week 3. This is horrible handwriting. I'm so sorry. All right. Week 3, I'm going to jump back over to the course. It's easier for me to show over there, and then I'll come back to the slides. Okay. So we're here. So week 3, right? It's becoming findable. We have a whole bunch of stuff on this about websites and all that. All right. But the first thing you need to do, and I'll give you this for free, right? Okay. Google Business Profile. Do you guys know what Google Business Profiles are? Okay. If I can get into it, I'm gonna see if I can get you like an example of what the time. Oh, there's me. Just got to be a profile here. Hold on. Oh, that's introduction. This is that are there we go. So this is not that hard to do. Obviously, we have like a couple-minute video, and I walk you through it in case you're having trouble with it.
Have a website,
but this allows you to, when someone Googles you,
I just want to show you how to get it
like this.
up, right?
Watch. If I Google Drone Launch Academy, and even if nobody Googles you, look right here. This whole block, this is Google Business. This is Google Business Profile. But what if I typed in drone pilot in Baltimore or Maryland? Oh, look at this. Maryland drone guy. That is Kevin Olson. Or if I typed in drone pilot Baltimore. Comes up with some jobs. Sometimes it doesn't give the Google Business Profile, but what if I did drone pilot near me? Drone photos near me. Okay. So here's Google Business Profile, right? This is it. And so you're going to come up, if you don't have that, look, they put sponsored links and then Google My Business Profile. If you don't have that, nobody's going to see you. So this is actually someone I know. He works out of my co-working space. He does real estate stuff. Look, he's got a bunch of reviews, right? Actually, don't know who that person is, but they only got 1 review. But you don't have to have that crazy of traction to have this. So that would be one way to become more visible. You want to get reviews. You obviously want to have don't go overboard with your website, but you need some type of website that exists so that people know that you're alive, right? So once you have a website that exists, please don't overthink it. Just use some simple stuff. Talk about who you are, and we get into like exactly what you should put on your website, but make it personal. Like you don't want to go to a website and you just have no idea who is behind the stuff that's going on. Make it a little bit personal. Talk a little bit about your services. You can always change it. Nothing's permanent. People overthink it all the time. Oh, I don't want to put that on there because what about this? What about that? No, you just put something on there. You can always change it. Okay. So do that first. Let me bring my slides back here. Okay. So do this first. It's free. Google Business Profile, simple website. Okay. So once you have that, now you exist on the internet. Oh, and I might add, pick one social platform. Okay. Don't try to do LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all this stuff. You're not going to keep up with it unless you have like a team of people. I have 10 people that work for Drone Launch Academy, and I have a hard time keeping up with that stuff. Okay. Just pick one. But Kevin Olson, Instagram. Other people have picked other ones. Pick one platform, stay on it. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is in week 7, we talk about building a platform. So what is a platform? You're on it right now. You guys know me because I have an email list. I'm on YouTube. I don't have a huge YouTube channel. I think we have like 11,000 subscribers. You're all here. You're watching me on YouTube. A lot of you have probably seen our podcast, Drone to 1K. Guess what? I interview people on Drone to 1K. I learn a lot of stuff. I meet a lot of instructors that way. I get a lot of partnership deals that way. That also gives me content to put on YouTube. I can publish it all over the place. I can turn that podcast into a blog post, throw it on my website. Guess what we do? Have you guys ever heard of our Your Drone Questions Answered podcast? Maybe you haven't. I don't even host it, but I hired a guy, John. He hosts it. He finds different people to talk to, pick different drone topics, really short. We interview people. We then take that. Someone else on my team takes it and turns it into an email that gets sent to all of you every week. Okay. We draft it up. So we try to make it to where, hey, you know what? Oftentimes you're getting reminded Drone Launch Academy exists. Oh, that was helpful. That's cool. Oh, I saw an ad from Drone Launch Academy. Oh, I saw this. I saw that. Now, you don't have to be that proliferate at first, right? Just pick something simple. So let me show you what I would recommend if I were you, because that sounds overwhelming. Don't get overwhelmed. Be like, oh, I can't do all that stuff, right? What you want to do is this. Pick one thing. I'm going to go back. So scroll on to week 7. Okay. Your best long-term asset is a platform. So there are different types of platforms. So I talk about this in platform options. Okay. I don't know if this video is going to load right here. If you don't like talking to people, I don't know if I'm able to get like a graphic from it here or not. If you don't like talking to people, start a blog. If you already have a basic website, I mean, gosh, throw something together on Squarespace and fill out a blog. Video number 1, right? Not that difficult. Yeah. So, you have a blog if you don't like talking to people. You have an audio podcast if you don't mind talking to people or hearing your voice. And then at the top of the spectrum, you have a video podcast that you can then kind of use a bunch of different ways. And let me try to convince you here for just a second why that is so important to do. I know a lot of you are going to be like, that sounds awful to me. I don't like talking to people. I don't like doing those things. It is not that difficult in the way I can talk about it, right? If you have a platform, you're going to be seen by more people. You're going to be viewed be viewed as an expert. So if I were you and you can stomach it, this is what I would do. I would start some type of podcast once you have your niche picked out. So somebody give me a niche. Like, what niche do you want to go to? Or what niche do you want to get into? Throw it on here and we'll talk about, and I'll just give you an example in your specific niche that you're going to throw out. Solar panel inspections. All right, Kevin. Solar panel inspections. My niche, I want to do solar panel inspections. Boom. I'm going to go, cool. I'm going to pretend I don't know anything about solar, but for some reason I've picked this niche, or maybe I do know a little bit about solar, but nobody knows who I am in this industry. If someone goes, whew, I need my solar panels inspected, who should I get? Nobody's saying David Young at this point. So I'm like, how do I change that? How do I make it to when someone goes, I need my solar panels inspected, they find David Young pretty easily. Now you could just run ads, Google AdWords. So when someone types in solar inspection, your ads pop up. Let's try this real quick. I'm going to go solar inspection. You guys Google it on your own too. Maybe not everyone. I don't want to share my screen again. I want to keep going back and forth. Solar inspection. Contractor. That'll come up with some ads. Cool. First one, sponsored. 300 solar inspector jobs. Solar field technician. Thumbtack. Hire a solar panel pro. Actually, Fly Guys is on here sponsoring this. So the problem with this is it's good. You can automatically get to the top, but every time somebody clicks this, you're going to be paying like $2 every time someone clicks. And if you're sending them somewhere where you're not going to capture their information or whatever, you've just like wasted money. So how do I have a chance of showing up in that instance? So what I would do is I would go, cool. I want to think of who are my customers going to be in solar inspections. They're probably going to be the solar owners, like whoever owns the solar farm, or if there's some, I don't know a ton about solar panel inspections. I'm thinking like solar farms. It would be like the energy companies maybe, or maybe it would be like the land or whoever owns that asset. Maybe there's a company that's responsible for maintaining them or technicians. Maybe they need someone to do the inspection or help with it. I don't know. So what I would do is I might go, okay, solar, this is solar. What is one level up from that? That might be clean energy, or it could be solar, green energy. I might start a podcast, and you can always change it. You can do one, a couple episodes and change the name. I might do, green energy trends with David Young. Okay. So now I'm creating a podcast for the industry. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go, cool. What do I want to do this podcast? I want to make it attractive to the people that would eventually be my customers. Okay. And then I want to help them learn something or gain some insights or make it interesting to them so that they're now hearing my voice. I'm literally doing this with you guys with Drone to 1K. It helps me in so many ways. I go, I want other people to know about how to start drone businesses. What would be helpful and interesting to them? Oh, I'm going to start a podcast where I interview other drone business owners, and that will be helpful to them. Then they're going to get to know me, and then they might show up on a webinar like this, right? And we can build a relationship. That's what you're trying to do. That's how I found so many of our instructors that we have is I found some way to communicate them with on a platform. It's not like a manipulative thing. You genuinely want to get to know these people and become friends, and that's how you build relationships, and that's how you have business. So I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to solar or like green energy trends podcast. If I want to get into solar farms specifically, I'm going to go, cool. I'm going to go reach out to, I don't know, I see this solar farm around me. There's like Florida Power and Light has a bunch of solar farms in Florida. I might start looking on LinkedIn. Who's responsible for the solar farms for Florida Power and Light? Poking around, and I'll shoot them a message. Find their email. Use like hunter.io, something like that. Find their email and say, hey, I just want to introduce myself. My name is David. I'm creating this new podcast called, Green Energy Trends Podcast. And on it, I really want to cover what are the emerging things happening with green energy, solar. I saw that you manage a solar farm. Would you be willing to come on the podcast and share with me what you're seeing, what you think the future looks like for green energy? And I'm happy to feature anything about your business or what you guys are doing or any things you want to talk about, right? And they'll go, a lot of times that's so much easier than saying, oh, you know what? Can I call you and talk to you for an hour? I just want to understand that industry better. They're like, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of talking to you for an hour and just giving you all this information, right? It's like, it's not as compelling. But you say, hey, I have this podcast. I want to feature you on my platform and get your message out there. That is so much easier of an ask. But what happens? They end up coming on and talking to you for 30, 45 minutes. Literally all you do is a Zoom call and you hit record and you record it and have a couple questions ready. I mean, you don't have to have anything super profound, but what are you interested in? Ask those questions. This is how you can figure out what problems they have. Hey, what are some of the biggest issues that you face in running your solar farm? Like, what's something that causes problems that you guys are worried about or concerned about? And he'll talk. And then you're going to write down, okay, here are the problems. So, and you do this 10 times. Guess what? You got season 1 of the Green Energy podcast and it's recorded. You know how easy it is to throw that on YouTube, put it on YouTube. You know how easy it is to make a podcast out of that? Use like anchor.fm. We used to be now. I think they got bought out like Spotify podcasts or Buzzsprout or any of those. You throw the audio on there. It pushes it to Apple Podcasts, pushes it to Spotify, all these other places. Now you've got an audio podcast. You can literally throw that transcription to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me an article summarizing my podcast conversation with this guy from Florida Power and Light or whatever company. Then you take that, throw it as an article on your website. This does not take a lot of extra time. Throw it on LinkedIn. Hey, I had a great conversation with Rick from this energy company about the future of green energy and all that. So now if somebody Googles you, they're going to see you talking to these people at these companies, and they're going to automatically associate that, oh, this guy is in this industry, he's talking about this, he knows these people. Oh, and then you're going to learn their problems. So then when you go to a solar asset owner, you're going to say, yeah, hey, you know what? Are you guys having any of these issues? I've heard that a lot of people, they really have trouble really seeing the dead cells and the dead panels, and or when this happens again, I don't know the industry well enough to know the really intricacies of what happens with solar panels. Oh, there's like dead cells, or if you don't address this, I heard one of these things caught on fire. I don't know, or it's hard to find good people for this. Whatever those specific problems are that you can help with, now you know the industry, you know how to talk, right? So get that platform. I tell you, that's going to help you so much, and it's not that hard. It's really not. And if you don't want to do a full video podcast thing, on the full other end of the spectrum, you say, hey, I have a blog and I write about the future of green energy. Do you mind if I ask you 5 questions that I can use just to kind of put in my blog, and I'm happy to give you credit and link back to you. Let's chat. If we chat on the phone for 15 minutes, I can just ask you some of these questions and use that. I don't think you might. I don't know if you'll get. I don't do that as much. We've done that with some of our articles. It's not as much featuring them. It's like highlighting them, so people are less inclined to maybe do that. But if you really don't want to put yourself on video or have audio of yourself out there, interview them, and then you can do a write-up and say, hey, here's what I learned about it, and this is what this person said about their 5, where they see things going, or their biggest challenge, or whatever. You write that up. Now you've got something online, and again, you're sort of linking yourselves with them. But now, if you ever in the future had a question where you wanted to call that person, it's not a weird cold call. It's not like, hey, my name's David Young. You don't know me. Now it's like a lot of times I have like all these podcast guests. I've got like their phone numbers, emails. I can shoot them a message, say, hey, so-and-so, are you going to this conference? Oh, that's cool. You want to link up? I do that. You shoot them an email. Oh, hey, I had one more question. What do you think about this? Or I'm just telling you, you now have a relationship with them, opens doors. Now, guess what? Maybe Rick from that company is talking to someone and they're like, oh, I have this problem. You're going to go, oh, I was just on a podcast with this guy. And that's what he does. Like you need to build these networks and spider webs out. So I know I'm harping on this a lot, but you really need to do this if you want it to be good. Okay. So that's all I got to say about that. What else we got? Okay. So those are my 4 steps. Get your part 107, paid to practice, build your portfolio, pick a niche, find the problems, make sure that you are findable, especially if you don't want to do active outreach. If you are like really going full force on this, you could do this sort of be findable stuff. And then at the same time, you are doing active outreach to get clients. Once you know their problems, hey, do you guys have this problem? Hey, do you guys have this problem? You call enough people and do that, you'll get business. A lot of people, they just don't want to go through this work and do these steps. And then they complain about, I got no business. I don't, this isn't working. Well, it's because you're not doing what you need to do, So, all right, that's that. I can answer more questions, or I can do more examples at the end. I do want to talk about for a second. So if you want to launch your business this year, here's some resources I have that I think will help you. Just going to run through them real quick. So obviously we have our Drone to 1K program. This is an 8-week drone business building bootcamp. Oh, by the way, drone giveaway is after this. Okay. 8-week drone business building bootcamp. We essentially break it down into steps, about 30 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. By the end of it, you should have your drone business set up, have made money, and be profitable. A lot of the times people, they just don't know what to do next or which steps to take. We try to take that guesswork out of it. So all you gotta do is go sign in that day. What am I supposed to do today? Cool. I'm going to do this. I'm going to check it off my list, submit my answers in there, and then move on to the next day. So it kind of takes some of the guesswork out of it. You saw it a little bit already. I'm going to run through it real briefly, just what's in each of the 8 weeks so that you know what's in there in case you think that will be helpful for you or interesting to you. Okay. All right. So we'll go to the top. First, before you start, so this is just some info about, hey, before you get started, here's some things you need to know, pump you up, understand what's the success equation is. Something I always like to talk about, like melting the ice cube. There's a lot of people, I don't know if you guys ever heard this author, James Clear, results. And he talks about melting the ice cube. A lot of people are giving effort. And if you heat up an ice cube from 25 degrees and you're heating it up, you're doing a lot of work to heat it up, but the ice cube's not melting. You're like, must be for nothing. But then at 32 degrees, 33 degrees, boom, ice cube starts to melt and things start working. So sometimes you just got to stick with it long enough. All right. But in week 1, one of our goals is to make you at least some money week 1. So we were like, sign up for these drone job networks, try to do a job. All right. And we talk some things about, so Cody Retlick is the main instructor in this course. He is the founder of a company called Midwest Aerial Productions. They're a 7-figure business. They've done a lot of different things. They've worked with a lot of different drone pilots. He's the main instructor. I got him to sort of be the main teacher here. So this is, let me see if I can show you what he looks like. If you guys don't know Cody, he's been on our Drone 1K podcast twice. So this is Cody. Used to be in sales, started a drone business, and he's very successful with it. So he teaches a lot of it. But we do things like we try to make it easy. So one of the things you need to do is just get over the fear of talking to people you don't know. So we give you an example script and we give you an assignment. Hey, go ahead and just reach out to a person, introduce yourself to them. You don't have to worry about asking for business. You're not doing any of that. Just get used to talking to strangers. And it's actually really interesting. We have people submit here their cold call, like their intro cold call, and we look at them to see how it went. And most people are like, oh, it actually went really well. They're going to call me back. It might turn into business. Some people are like, oh, they said thanks, and they, the conversation ended, but it felt really good to get that through, and I feel more confident, right? And then I had somebody on our team, Jorge, literally do a cold call and recorded his side of the call, so you can hear like a live one how it went doing this introduction, so you can kind of get over the fear of doing it. So that's week 1. Week 2, creating business identity. So this is a lot of stuff. I brought in my personal CPA to come talk about all the sort of the more boring stuff, but necessary at a certain point is to, you're gonna have to have some type of business entity, or maybe you're in a state where that is an LLC is too expensive. So what are your options there? We give you like an operating agreement template that you can download and use for yourself if you want, so that you have some like legal stuff. I had my lawyer draft that up. How to do an EIN. So some of the stuff, maybe some of you already know how to do this, but we talk a lot about how making sure that you're not picking a name that's already trademarked, and, maybe some common sense stuff for some of you, but things you definitely want to think through. Then week 3 is all about becoming findable, right? So that is going to be how to do your website. We walk through every click of how to set up the entire website. We talk about all of your Google My Business profile stuff, how to get reviews. We have some SEO bonus content stuff. I see some good questions popping up in the chat, and I'll address those in a minute. Then harnessing your inner nerd. This is a little bit about just kind of your book software, how you can do billing, how you can make this seamless, free accounting software again, but you're still going to be going out and flying and building your portfolio while you're doing this. Then week 5, you're going to talk about sales and marketing foundations and fundamentals, how to understand this, how to really dive in, understand what your customers are, identifying warm leads, how to reach out to people. This is how to reach out on different platforms, again, with scripts, different things to try, different email outreach strategies, depending on which ones you'd like to do. This, again, week 7, building that platform. We talk to you about how to build it. We walk you through each step of, how to find the right guests, then what to say and how to set that up. And then if you're going to do some basic editing on it, what that looks like and how to then put it in different places, just every step of the way. And then week 8 is actually some of the in-person stuff you need to be doing about going to conferences and learning, right? So this is a lot of what Jeff Carrillo did. This is what Root Patel does. All my successful friends that have drone businesses now, or this is their full-time thing, they're big on this, getting in person. I go to a lot of conferences, drone conferences, education conferences. But this is how to go, who to talk to, how to introduce yourself and talk to people, how to work the booths, connecting with, you can do a lot by connecting with event speakers, different things there, right? So we walked through this is 8 weeks. Let me go back here, get my stuff up here. And at the end of it, you should have, I think we say within 90 days, you should have made 1K. A good question said, well, if I pay you $800 and make 1K, I only made $200. True, but hopefully you're not going to make just 1K one time. This is to set you up with a successful business that you have going forward. So you're making this on a consistent basis and moving forward. But since, I'm going to hook you up, this is deal time. So it's not going to be that much. So here's our guarantee. Actually, we're very confident that this course works. So we're saying if you sign up for the course, which I'll give it to you guys cheaper than this, and you follow the steps and you complete the activities over the 8 weeks, or even I'll give you 90 days to do it, and you don't make $1,000 within your first 90 days, we'll just give you a full refund. You just say, hey, David, look, here's where I did the work. It just didn't work for me. I really tried, gave my best effort. Your material just didn't pan out for me, whatever, my area, my niche, whatever it was. I don't want you to pay for something that doesn't work for you. I won't feel good about that. You'll be upset. I'd rather you be happy and me not have your money. You know what I mean? So I'll give you a full refund. You can screenshot this if you want. All right. Screenshot it, send it back to me in an email, david@dronelaunchacademy.com. Ask anybody. We're not stingy about refunds. Happy customers is my goal. I want you to be a success story that I can pin on here one day, right? Or put you on the Drone to 1K podcast or something like that. If I can't do that, I'd rather not have your money. All right. So a couple workshops that I think would be helpful. If you don't want to do that, or you want to get some other stuff, these are all sort of business related workshops. So utilizing AI and drones. This is a lot about like how to use it to help with your marketing and some of the content, a little bit, few things I talked about earlier. I teach this. It's like a 2-hour workshop, I believe. That's normally $99. Landing construction clients, taught by Root Patel. He's our mapping instructor. You can just Google Root Patel drones. You'll see a bunch of stuff come up. This is how he got started, was in construction. So he did a whole thing. I think this is about another hour or two on how to land construction clients, exactly where to go, who to talk to, what problems to present to them, how to talk to them, all that fun stuff. Social media growth for your drone business. This was by Kevin Olson. He created this workshop for us. Exactly what he does on Instagram for him to start his business and grow. That one's normally $49. How to price your drone services. We talk about that sort of in the course, but in our course, it's a little bit more about expanding your marketing, your platform, getting the business set up. So pricing is another thing to consider, like, your strategy, looking at competitors. But usually you figure out pricing once you have calls and you talk to people. But if you want some advanced knowledge on that, or advanced as in like prior knowledge before you start into it, that one's normally $99. And then these are both real estate. So this one's taught by Jeremiah Oshwald. He's very successful, another 6-figure guy, Lexington, Kentucky. He goes through how he got his first real estate clients by doing like a drone regulation presentation at an association of realtors, and got a bunch of gigs that way because they're like, oh, actually, I want to just use you instead. And then another guy, Dominic Wilkerson, he's actually the guy who teaches our Real Estate Media Pro course, and how he got all of his clients through Instagram, what he did. So he had some sort of DM strategies that he did, right? So that's, all these guys have successful businesses. Everybody who's in here, and then Cody. Oh wait, yeah. So these are workshops. So if you were to buy all these, it'd be $544 if you went through on our website right now and just bought them all individually. You don't have to do that. All right. So all of those combined with this course, if you were to go out there and just buy it all independently, it would be $1,343. Dave, that's a lot of money. I'm not going to spend that much money. That's okay. I understand. That's why you're here on the webinar. Give you a deal right now. Okay. So we do this only, the last time we did this was in January. We really only do this twice a year, sometimes once a year. We're going to do $300 off of the Drone to 1K course. So that whole 8-week program, plus literally just going to give you all of these workshops for free. So it's going to be $499 for this is the full course, plus all of these workshops that I listed. Technically, that is $844 off. I know that sounds like a lot, but that's just because of the price of the workshops. If you add it up, that'd be $63 off. Okay. So pretty screaming deal. We'll do it twice. I created this custom link. Okay. If you want this deal, you can get it now. It's there we go. 1kdeal.com. Okay. If you type that in, it will redirect you to the checkout page. Okay. If you are like, I want to look at it more, I'm not sure, David, you can go to just dronelaunchacademy.com. And then if you go over to courses, you can find Drone to 1K. You can click that. It's got the whole sales page on there that like talks about the course a little bit more. I mean, you already saw inside of it, but if you want to just check it out, there's like testimonials and a few other things on there. You can look at that. If you're going to do that and you're like manually click the checkout page, the promo code, if you have to type that in when you're checking out, is AUG for August, 1K deal. All right. That would get you the $300 off. Now we'll add these courses tomorrow. This specific deal is good until tonight at midnight. This is just for the people on this call. Now I will say this: I don't like the super pressure. You can still get the rest of these throughout the end of the week. You can still get the $300 off the course. It's just that some of these workshops go away. So you don't get the social media one, the construction clients one, or the video real estate clients. So these 3, 1, 2, 3 are like your extra bonuses for jumping on tonight, since I like rewarding people with something specific and special if you're on the webinar. So if this is midnight Eastern tonight, okay? So maybe just write this URL down somewhere, 1kdeal.com. So that way, if we're done with the webinar, it's 9:30, so another 2.5 hours. If you need to go talk about it, or you're thinking about it, you can come back to it later. You have that thing. If you're really like, oh, I just can't do this until later this week or whatever, don't freak out. You still can get the $300 off, plus this one, and this one. That should be all the way till Friday. And I do not want anybody to like stretch this. I know there's some people that are like, oh, if you don't have the money, put it on a credit card or do this. I don't want you to do that. If you're deciding between paying rent and buying a course, pay your rent, figure out what you can do for free, ask your friends for advice. Don't do anything stupid, okay? This is for people who are like confident that they want to start a business. You have the means to do it. You have the ability to put in an hour a day for 5 days a week to work towards this, right? I don't want you to get in here and then be like, oh, actually, I don't have the money for this, or I don't want to do this, or whatever. I'm not here to put you in a bad spot, all right? this is for people who want guidance and clarity on what to do and how to do it to make this work for them. Okay, so that's who it's for. All right. And if that's not you, don't feel bad. I'm not trying to pressure you. This is not something to like, it's a guilt trip you. I just like to make these offers for people who they happen to be ready to go now and they want to do it. And we make this available to them. Okay. All right. So that is that. Yeah, you have this. I'll come back to this later if you want to look at this again. But right now, let's talk about a couple trending services. Okay. Oh yeah, and I would like to know if you are going to join this. Put in the chat, say like I'm in, or like once you sign up, let me know because I like to see who's joining so I can see who to follow up with. Because what I'm going to do is if you do sign up, I want to know some information. So either me or someone from my team might email you and say like, hey, what niche are you thinking about? Or I kind of like getting feedback from people on where they're at and what they're trying to do with their goals, see how we can help. Also, if anybody in here doesn't have a Part 107 and they need one first, they're like, ooh, I would do this, but I don't have my Part 107 license. We have had, we have a really successful Part 107 prep course. I'm not here to like talk all about that, but I just want to make it available to you. So normally that's like a $200 prep course. I talked to Audrey. We added it to where if you're going to get this course, you can get that prep course for half off. It's like $99. We have like a 99.5% pass rate with it. We have a 7-day study program, so you can study for it and get it in 7 days. Someone mentioned at the very beginning of this call, hey, I just took that class and I passed it in 7 days. I guarantee you can do that. So if Part 107 is an obstacle for you, sort of that step one, and you want like a guided program that's just going to knock it out for you quick, you can click a button and you can add that for whatever, $99. So that's an option for you. Again, if you already have your 107 or you want to do something else or study on your own, go for it. But just want to throw that out there as another resource for you, another option. Okay. Oh yeah. See, look, I don't even know Jonathan, but I'm throwing this up here. Gonna test prep course. Studied for a week, passed the first time. This guy, I passed the test with it. All right, cool. So, yeah, best part. So, I'm not telling these people to say this stuff. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So that's what you got there. Next, trending services. Let's talk about it. Everybody wants to know, oh, what should I get into? What niche should I pick? What trending services? What's hot right now, right? Here's what I've been seeing. That is, that's worth looking into. I'm telling you, more and more I'm seeing it. Construction. Okay, that's what I would. And again, if you don't like data or whatever, not the problem, but the thing is, construction is so there's so many ways to capitalize on it. You need. Are you guys seeing the Part 1? Someone, Owen, real quick. Owen saying, where can I get it from $99? If you go to checkout, if you go to that 107 or 1kdeal.com, it should be an option on the checkout page to say like, hey, add this for $99. All right. So I'm going to call it construction / mapping / documentation. I'm talking to the guy who works at a giant construction company. I've talked to other construction companies. They want progress updates. So somebody owns that land, somebody paid for that building, and they're probably not there every day. So construction companies want people to go and just literally take photos and videos. The guy I was talking to who's like a survey manager is like, yeah, we bought some of these other non-mapping drones because we like to get some videos. We fly around the site. We put together these little like sizzle reel videos of the construction site to send off to the people who want to look at the progress, and we want to be able to show them, hey, we're doing the work, we're getting it done, right? And keep them energized about funding the deal and all that. So even the survey managers are using it for like, like not promo purposes, but documentation, video, orbits, things like that. So you can use it for marketing, stakeholder updates, and then you can get real technical and you can fly drones to create maps to see what the elevation looks like. So something we're teaching in another, like our advanced mapping courses, getting survey points or working with surveyors to then get a map of the land, comparing that to what the grading plans are, so that you can see how much dirt needs to be moved or not moved, right? Or so they can estimate costs, or you can prove that a subcontractor is doing things on time. There's just so much that can be used in construction for drones. I would focus there. And you can start on the low skill level with it if you're inexperienced with providing basic orthomosaic imagery, which is basically like a giant photo that's corrected to try to be accurate measurement wise within the map, and then some other pictures and video updates. And usually you can get those for like contracts. So if there's like a 18-month building project, they might hire you to come out once a month or twice a month, and you can charge them X number of dollars per month. So now you got 18 months of guaranteed revenue for that gig, right? And if you get in with one construction company, maybe they got this project, maybe they got another project over there. So that's, if you can just land one construction client, it is worth it. I was going to show you, I don't want to invade this person's privacy, but somebody who took our Drone to 1K course, they report their income. They send their invoices and checks and stuff to us. And this was on March 20th of this year. So, maybe that was 4 or 5 months ago. It was for mapping. Again, this is a student. I'm going to look. This is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Aerial mapping, orthomosaic images at the following properties. Listed 3 properties and charged $1,200 for it. Boom, right there. One customer, 3 properties, 1 invoice. So that was, an example of some, mapping things. So I would pursue that. I think that's great. Second thing I would look at, FPV/unique perspectives. So what I mean by this is FPV stuff is getting more popular. First person view. So think racing drones, but like hotels are hiring people to do like one take fly throughs through a hotel. If you ever seen like the intro to a sporting event, a lot of times they'll take the drone and they'll fly it through the stadium, through the locker room, through a car window, some of this other stuff, right? Those are really cool and interesting, and people want those shots. Now, the issue you're going to run into as a new person is that this is kind of hard to do. Well, I'm not good at this. I know some other people that are good at it. So if you want to look at someone who's good at it, Juan, Quinceanones, or I can't remember how to say his last name. He was on Drone 1K podcast. He might be the last episode, maybe one of the earlier ones, season 6. He's a great FPV pilot, and he does luxury homes, and he makes really good money doing this, but he's very good at it, and he's very smooth. Okay. Our community manager, Dusty Jolly, some of you all might know Dusty. He does FPV stuff, and he makes, like doing money doing jobs that way. So it's pretty cool. I see it's in demand. I see it's rising demand. More people are seeing it and wanting it now, especially in like places where you want to showcase the event. Have you guys ever seen the shot where, like, I think it's Tom Brady is hitting the golf ball and somebody comes in, they literally follow the golf ball with the FPV drone, and it's like this, the unique perspectives, people like that eat it up. It's a higher skill thing. Not as many people can do it. So that's another thing. You separate yourself from the 107 pack, because now you have a specialized skill that no one else can do. Right. So, but that'll take practice. All right. And the third thing I was going to say, this is good for new people. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, this is going to be, like the easiest or the most lucrative. Oh, actually it's lucrative if you do it right. But it's still, I would say, a good niche option for new people. And again, real estate with a star. Okay. Asterisk. Okay. Here's what I mean with the asterisk. You can't just offer, I'm going to say, not just drone. Okay. Again, I looked back in our database of people who were submitting jobs, and someone submitted one. It was kind of low, and it was like, it was real estate photography, and they were just doing photography. Okay, I've got one. Just doing drone photos. I see his picture now. They got paid $125 for it. Again, not terrible, but it's not like incredible. You know what I mean? Yeah, here's another one. Drone photos. He got to charge for transportation too. So he charged $150 for this one. This was, I don't know the date. Yeah, this was in March this year. So again, not awful, but you're not going to make a ton of money doing that. Where you really make money is offering a full package as a real estate, media, or photographer. So you're going to have to learn how to do some ground camera work. But again, it's a camera. You have a camera on a drone, camera on the ground. You can learn it. It takes a little effort. You might have to buy more equipment. But again, there are relatively affordable cameras that you can use to take decent real estate photos. But you're going to need to be a little bit more one-stop shop for real estate agents, because they don't want to go hire a drone pilot somebody do video, somebody do photo. They just want to hire one person. So you can link up with other real estate photographers if you want to offer the drone piece of it. But again, now you're getting a cut of the cut. It's going to be smaller. If you want to pursue this niche, it's better just to go full package. So like there's another guy, Gary, I talked to him. He's like a member of our other community we have, Drone Launch Connect community. And he started off doing mapping and then realized like, this isn't, I don't know what it is about my area, or I just don't like this as much. And he switched from mapping to real estate, and he started doing real estate stuff, which is funny because Brian Koster switched from real estate to mapping because he just, for his area, he didn't like it as much. So Gary started doing real estate stuff, and then boom, took off. He got someone to, he got like hired a VA to help him with some marketing stuff, and got that dialed in to where he could have effective outreach and became findable and started getting clients. And now he's making good money, thousands of dollars a month doing real estate stuff, but he offers the full thing, right? So inside, outside, floor plans, all that. So there's definitely opportunity here, but you got to do the full thing. And honestly, if you got in with just one real estate agent, that you might do a house. If you're doing fixed pictures, video, floor plans, drone stuff, all that, a lot of times these people's packages run from like $400 to $1,200, depending on what part of the country you're in. This is like Seattle. I know the guy in Seattle, he charges this. And then this is like most other places if you're charging that. If you're just doing pictures, probably a little less. If you're just doing drone, it's like $100, like you saw. So boom, you get in with one real estate agent, you do a good job. Then the next time they get a house, they bring you in again. It's like you do, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these jobs, and you're there. You've made your 1K a month, right? So I don't want to try to make it sound simpler than it is, but sometimes it's good to have a goal. Like, hey, I just need to get one. If I can see it in my mind, like, oh, if I just do this, then this will work, right? Oh, I can do that. Like, oh, I can contact this many people, or if I just get this one person, this will work out. That gives me some tangible goal that I can then kind of fight for. It just helps me mentally. So hopefully that helps you. All right. So those are the 3 that I would look at if I were you. Now there's other ways you can do it. There's a lot of other things you can do, inspection specific work, some of that. All right. But that's what I would look at. All right. And I will get to, some of your questions here in a moment, but we're now to the Mini 3 giveaway. So the way we're going to do this, oh yeah, and why the Mini 3? So I want to talk about this. The reason I like the Mini 3 is because it's a decent, I would say good camera for photo and video, right? Just a decent drone for photo and video. I think it does like 4K and all this good stuff. But it also, this is the big kicker, it's compatible with DroneLink. And DroneLink is a flight automation software that you can use for mapping. So if you're looking to do like intro mapping jobs, again, this is not going to be like survey grade, really high-end stuff. But if you want to work in construction and you need to do like a fly around video, pictures, and you need to get an orthomosaic, you cannot get an orthomosaic image doing photogrammetry without some type of flight automation tool or software. So DroneLink is that, and it's just recently become compatible with that. The Mini 4 and the Mini 4 Pro are not yet. So that limits you only to doing photo, video type work, and you can't do any mapping stuff, even basic stuff with that drone. So this is currently a nice option for any type of work. So I can give this to someone. Doesn't matter if you want to do photos and video stuff for real estate, or you want to work construction or whatever else. It's a more versatile drone that I can give away. Okay, so that's why. All right. So here's how this is going to work. I promise you, I am trying my absolute hardest to make this as fair as possible and as non-favored as possible. I'm not giving this to anybody I know personally. Random number generator. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. And if you have a better idea for me for next time, let me hear it. But I am going to give you a link here. Okay. Mini 3 Pro. Here's a question. I believe it is. But I think there was not that huge of a difference between the Mini 3. Like some of the differences were not really on the like mapping side of things. So, but I'm not totally sure on that. You can check though. If you go to DroneLink compatibility, you can look at their list. Okay. So I'm going to give you a link here. What this is going to do is going to bounce you to a screen where you are going to fill out a form. You're just going to give me your name and your email address. Okay. You're going to give me those 2 things and you're going to hit submit. That is going to send you to like a list that I have, and it's going to log them in order of who clicked submit when. Okay. And now I'm going to do like they used to do on the radio when I said caller number 7 or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a random number generator to pick a number between 1 and 20. That number, whatever number it is, will be the, so if it picks the number 11, I'm going to say the 11th person to have submitted it based on type form. That will be the winner of the drone. Okay. That's how we're doing it. That's the most fair way I can think of it. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the random number first so that you guys know I'm not full of crap. Here we go. I'm going to give you the random number generator. I haven't clicked it yet. It says 6, but it's not what I picked before. Okay. I just pulled it up. Random number generator. You guys see this? All right. Generate the number. 11. Literally. Can't make this stuff up. That was my example. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. My presentation. All right. I've got it here. The number 11. So the 11th person to have their name submit on this form will be the winner of the drone. Okay. Here's the link. You ready? It is dlagiveaway.com. Go there, name, email address, and make sure it's right because I'm going to use that email address to email you. dlagiveaway.com. Go there and it should take you to the thing. I'm about to pull it up right here while you're doing that. Okay. See if we got people populating them. Yes, it looks like it's working. I see them coming through. Now, to do this, I'm going to have to show your name and email address. So I hope you don't mind because that's the only way I can have it work. Okay. All right. We'll give it a sec. Okay. So it's going from, you keep, all right. I'm going to I got enough responses now. We've got 88 responses. I'm going to download the list, okay, to an Excel file. I'm going to open it up. We're going for number 11 here, okay? I got to make sure I organize this. Okay, 46. Okay, you ready? I'm going to share it with you. Present. So it starts from the bottom up. You can see. Share screen, window, responses. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll zoom in. All right. Jonathan was first. You see it's got the second timestamp. So 01, this is, I think, in UTC time. 45 and 53 seconds. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Andrew Purcell. Or sorry, I can't read. Brandon Purcell. Still again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Brandon Purcell. All right. Brandon, congratulations. You are the winner of the Mini 3 drone. I will email the email address that you listed, and I will get that shipped to you. So there you go. All right. I think that was the most fair way I could have possibly done it. Let's all give Brandon a round of applause. All right. Yeah, there were more, right? So one at the top was the last one. I cut it off after a while after I had 88 responses because obviously we were going for number 11. Okay. Let's go back real quick to some Q&A. Share screen. That was Brandon Purcell. Cool. So Q&A is where we're at now. I'll put this back up in case anybody needed to look at this again or needed the link or was wondering what was in it. But let's talk about some Q&A. All right. What do you want to know about? Throw it in the chat and we'll talk about it. Do you think going the ag spraying route is a solid plan instead of some of the other options? Um, I am not directly linked to like the ag industry or as involved with that, but I'll tell you what I know just from hearing stuff. We've got people that are in our community who do ag spraying stuff. I've seen farmers, some farmers getting ag spraying stuff. I've seen precision agriculture companies getting ag spraying stuff. Um, there's a decent amount of cost involved with this. Like those sprayer drones are not cheap. It's like 10 to 20 grand plus. I think right now the T50 came out, and the T50 with the batteries to fly it, which they don't include the batteries. Found that one out the hard way. That's 25 grand. So this is expensive for the spraying drones. And then you have to have the Part 107. Then you also have to have like an applicator license, and you have to have the over 55-pound exemption typically. So it's expensive to get into. All that to say, that eliminates a lot of your competition. But then now you have to then sell to farmers to convince them that that is a better option than using whatever other methods they'd be using, which is, I guess, not treating or using some type of crop dusting stuff. Again, I don't know as much about the specific pain points and problems. I haven't heard of a ton of drone service businesses popping up that are focused specifically on spraying. But I'm not saying that it's not a good niche to do. It's just expensive to do. So I can't give you a definitive answer one way or the other, but if you have experience in agriculture or precision ag, or someone who's in precision agriculture, then I definitely think it's worth looking into and pursuing. It's definitely becoming more viable as the equipment gets better and as the education grows among farmers. And you have to make some type of good business case to them, like, hey, if you use this instead of your method, you're going to get X% more yield, or you're going to use X% less material, and this is going to either save you money or increase your yield or something else to make the numbers work for them, right? So I only own a DJI Mini 4 Pro and want to move up with my gear. Should I get the Mavic or move on to FPV? Really depends on what you want to do. So now all the Mavics, they don't do any mapping stuff. So it depends on you want to stay in sort of like the cinematography, photography range. FPV, I would say it's good, but it is very niche still. So a lot of people I know that do FPV, you need to get in with, like I know people who do both, right? They develop FPV skills, but they also have their regular like Mavic drone, because sometimes clients want both. They want like these establishing shots, right? They'll want some other things, but then they want to fly through. So sometimes it's good to have both options. But it really just depends on what you're passionate about. Whatever you're going to get into more and really dive into, I'll go for. Am I the only person who's using Skydio? If so, why? We just actually recorded a podcast episode on this today. It should be coming out maybe next week. But Skydio no longer offers or supports consumer drones. They moved only to like larger enterprise stuff. So they're trying to get out of the consumer market. So it's going to be less and less people with Skydio drones unless you work for some type of larger business. Andrew, really sorry that you didn't win. That's the closest I've ever been to winning anything. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Kevin, you're welcome, man. Ooh, pricing for thermal images with thermography certification versus no certification. I love your thumbnail profile picture. Okay. I don't do thermal, but I'm trying to think about Jeff. Usually he doesn't just price out, hey, here's some thermal images. He usually gives them a full report of moisture penetration. So he'll do a full scan of a facade and a roof, and he'll identify all the temperature differences, which could indicate water getting underneath the membrane. And so he identifies all the places on their building where moisture could be getting in. Sometimes he'll even do like an optical views to identify cracks, things like that. I think where the certification doesn't necessarily come into factor with your pricing to the customer as much as it does with if you'll get the job in the first place. Sometimes RFPs require you to have a certain level of certificate. Like, we want a level 2 thermographer for this. I know Jeff's told me about that. So sometimes it just disqualifies you from even applying or putting in a proposal for the job. And then it matters a lot in litigation too. So a lot of times these are insurance litigation, goes to court over this happened or whose fault it was. And if you have that, you're more likely to qualify as an expert witness. And if you qualify as an expert witness, then you can get paid more. So that's something. I don't have the specific numbers though. But if you are going to pursue thermography, it's definitely, you should at least get the level 1 thermography license. How can I incorporate my air traffic control experience into my drone business? Consulting liaison. Yeah, you might. So there's a lot of companies that want to do drone operations in complicated or controlled airspace, especially like big companies, like let's say Drone Up, right? They just said they're going to focus all their stuff on like Dallas, huge, complicated airspace, DFW. So potentially working with them as consultant for, drone delivery and how to, in that airspace, and maybe working out things with the FAA and getting approvals, or other companies who are looking to do flights in complicated airspace. Maybe there's an event and a company wants to fly for the Super Bowl or whatever. That's obviously like a big TFR and all this other stuff. So maybe you could help navigate that. That's the main thing I could probably think of. How can we leverage drone businesses in third world countries? I mean, I think the same principles apply, right? You're going to go find who's got a problem that I can solve with my drone. I have been to a ton of third world countries, but there are businesses everywhere. There are governments everywhere, and they all have problems. And a lot of the problems, especially if they're related to infrastructure or marketing, can utilize drones. So I would look there. All right. Offering roof inspection to homeowners and partnering with roofing company and requiring a percentage from roofing company if they repair their roof. I've been thinking, yeah. So that if you can negotiate that, yes, I know of some people who have done this and it works. There's certain states that are like, oh, you can't go. So there's something that was like, I know some people would go fly over like whole neighborhoods and do like orthomosaic images, and then they would analyze a lot of the roofs to see which ones had damage, and then they would approach those homeowners and say, hey, looks like your roof might qualify for insurance replacement, and then they would get that lead, and then they'd sell that lead to the roofing contractor, either to sell the lead or they'd get a percentage of the deal. I have heard that, and I think that would work, but usually you have to count on like some type of storm or event, hurricane, hailstorm, and then I know some states, I can't remember which ones, were like introducing laws about that and then pulling them back about, can you go solicit homeowners and telling them that they should go to their insurance company and ask for a new roof. I don't think the insurance companies like that too much. But I have heard of that business model before, and it's worth a shot because roofing companies are used to paying for leads, right? And they'll pay good money for an actual like qualified lead. Ooh, what's my take on the DJI potentially being banned? Do I think it will happen? I don't know. I keep going back and forth. It was in there in the bill, and then it got pulled out. And then now I think another person's trying to put it back in as an amendment and modify it a little bit to now include Autel. I really hope it doesn't happen, but nobody can predict the future. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think DJI is just going to disappear. Maybe they put a tax on it, or maybe they say only government can't use it. I'm not sure. I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I'm going to say it's not going to happen, but who knows? Is anyone selling services to school for STEM education? Former teacher, wonder if it'd be a good niche. For sure. We have like a full high school drone curriculum that we sell to schools, and they're very interested in it. And we've got a bunch of students that take that. We've got contracts with some schools and school districts. But if you want to go in, a very common thing is doing like after school camps and programs. So if you were to approach in school and say, hey, I want to do like a 10-week summer program, or I want to do an after school thing, and I'm going to teach the students how to fly drones or about Part 107 or whatever, and it's X number of dollars per student, you could definitely do that. The schools we've talked to, a lot of them are very interested in drones and learning this stuff. And if they can get the students some relevant skills, right, and something that it's either academics or flying drones is always attractive. So for sure, I would approach whatever school you worked at before. I would approach them first and talk about that. But yeah, that's a good idea. How long after getting their Part 107 license from studying your study program do they go for this 1K program for you? Like how often do people quickly sign up? I don't really know. I don't think we've ever gotten into that data. I don't know how I would know that. I guess I could look at people who have taken both and how long the gap was, but I don't know. I really don't know. Some people get their Part 107 license just for like their job, or I'm a real estate agent. I want to take pictures for myself. Some people are trying to start a business, but I'm not totally sure. I would say the people who usually take our courses, because here's the thing: there's free information everywhere out there. If you Googled drone business tips, you on YouTube or whatever, you get a ton of stuff that would come up, and you might get some ideas. If you typed in Part 107 study help, you'll get a bunch of YouTube videos and other resources. A lot of stuff out there is free. With the internet, so much information is free and available. We found that when people want to buy courses, right, and this is what I've done too in my life. I know a bunch of information is out there and available online. When I buy courses, usually it's because I want to know what someone else knows, and I want it in a structured way that is going to help make it easier for me to perform those tasks. Like, I've bought tons of courses, right? Like, I know if I wanted to how do I do better email marketing? I could watch YouTube videos so I'm blue in the face, but I don't know the quality of it. And I don't know if it's going to be the exact result that I want. But if I've been following someone for a while and they say, hey, I'm going to show you this course on exactly how to do this specific type of email campaign or whatever, or this specific type of marketing, and here's what you can expect and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go, cool. They've got a system. I can just follow it step by step. That's what I want. Take some of the guesswork out of it. That's why people buy courses. So I guess whenever someone gets to a point where they're like, I really want some structured help with this. Like for Part 107, there's so many tons of companies out there that offer it. There are, you could say it's commoditized, or I shouldn't even have a business, but I do, because we specialized in, hey, you don't want to hunt around online and you don't want to guess on what to know. You want a specific structured plan that you can pass in 7 days. That's who we cater to. I want to go fast, and I want to make sure I'm not going to fail the first time. I just want to make it easy. That's what someone considers valuable, not so much the information doesn't exist anywhere else, So, sorry, long way of saying I'm not sure, but usually it's people when they want that structure. What software mapping application? Oh, this is a good question. Kale, your name sounds really familiar. I wonder if we've emailed before. Which software options are the least expensive to practice, get started in mapping and modeling? All right, I'm gonna go down here and tell you. Maps Made Easy. In our drone mapping and modeling fundamentals course is what we use. And another one called Birdie.io. These are both pay as you go systems for the most part. So you can buy some credits pretty cheap. You can process a whole map for a few dollars. If you want to go a step up, Pix40 standard or basic, Pix40 cloud basic, I think is $60 a month. And that gives you a certain number of credits and adds those to your account every month. So then if you want to, so usually you can process a few maps at nicer quality with that. But these you can do for just a few dollars per map. And that's usually good to practice, but they're not as powerful as Pix40 Cloud. Then you do something like Drone Deploy. Those are like $600 a month. And it's pretty expensive, but yeah, I would do Maps Made Easy and Birdie just to start off with. Ooh, thermal drone besides Patrice the M30T. I know you can get like the Matrice 350, or you can get other types of platforms that can hold different FLIR cameras. I'm not technical enough in it to know all the differences and the resolutions and all that stuff. But if you hit up Jeff Carrillo on LinkedIn, he can tell you. He does that for a living. I wish I could tell you. How you get the link? Are you talking about this link, just 1kdeal.com? That might be something else. Not sure. I'm not sure which link you're talking about. I think we talked about that. Oof, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to get down a little further. Oh, Lisa, happy birthday. I'm sorry that you didn't win. Can you use mapping course for real estate photography? I wouldn't. The mapping course just teaches you how to take 2D maps and orthos, usually for measurements within a map or documentation or planning purposes, usually with construction projects, things like that. There are a lot of real estate courses out there. We have one specifically from Dominic Wilkerson, who runs a real estate media company in Seattle, does really well. But he teaches you how to do the video, the photos, drones, ground cameras, 3D tours, floor plans. That course is called Real Estate Media Pro, and you could take a look at that if you wanted to. What is the Air 3 good for? Air 3. I don't think that one's compatible with Drone Link. So that's good for good photography, good videography, social media, video production, those sorts of things. I'm doing mapping image for a realtor lot over 24 acres, so it just depends. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you wouldn't do real estate images, but if you're trying to get like an overall heads, like top-down view of a property, like a larger property, yes, that would be good. So for instance, my sister just bought a 200-acre property in Texas. And I'm going out there in a few months, and I'm going to take my drone and I'm going to do an ortho of the entire property because she's going to develop it, build a house on it, and create a road and build a barn, do some other stuff. So I'm gonna have a good map for them with elevation data so they can sort of plan things out, or they can get an idea of what types of things they have on the property and good documentation. So yeah, that's good because a lot of times, if you're limited to 400 feet, you can only see so much, but ortho or photogrammetry and ortho images allow you to see the whole thing kind of in one image. So it's really good for large plots of land. Which inspections can we do in the evenings after full-time job? Thermography is actually best for this because when you're doing thermography, you want to do it when the sun's going down or when the sun has set, because what you're trying to do is get the temperature differences. So when the sun's right on top of the roof, and I only know this because my friend Jeff told this to me, sun's beating down on the roof, everything's going to have a lot of solar load and be hot. When the sun goes down, what you want is water cools down at different rates than dry surfaces. And so you're trying to get those temperature differences. So you need it when it's either heating or cooling to see the differences in temperature to where you can do your report. So he does a lot of jobs at night. But yeah, that's the only inspection I can imagine that you would do in the evening. Most other stuff you would want daylight. Would a Mini 3 work for interior real estate videos or you have to be FPV? Yeah, you could. I mean, it's got a gimbal on it. I've done a thing where I've literally held the drone and walked through a house with it recording. It's kind of hard to get it stable. You get a little bit of, you kind of have to get a nice smooth walk, like rolling your heels and stuff. So you don't get that walking bounce. But I mean, you could, if you got nothing else, work with what you got. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, here we go. What qualifications or credentials are required for teaching, facilitating drone courses online or at schools? There are no official credentials required. Ooh, I know we're past 10. I'm willing to stay for a little longer. I guess since we're on YouTube, it didn't kick me off. What qualifications or credentials are required for teaching, facilitating drone courses? So no official ones. I mean, I got my advanced whatever instructor certificate. For schools, a lot it depend. I talked to a school today actually, and their insurance required their teacher to have a Part 107 certificate in order to insure them at all. So maybe I would imagine a Part 107 because you're not doing it just for recreation at that point if you're going to have drones in the air and flying them. So yeah. So I'm going with DLA because first Part 107 study company was not cutting it. Oh, that's good to know, Robin. Well, not good to know that they weren't cutting it, but good to know that seems like you're enjoying ours. Cool. Thanks for tonight. Yep. Have fun, Ray. Do you have any courses that pertain to LiDAR mapping and subsequent 3D modeling? We do not have any specific on LiDAR right now. That's next on my list if we do another advanced course. Right now, we're doing a course. It's being taught live, and then we'll have it produced. I'm going to travel around the country in October, filming with people. And it should be released in November, advanced drone mapping and modeling. So that's working with surveyors, engineers, architects on advanced photogrammetry, survey grade stuff using GNSS, understanding geodesy, coordinate systems, how that all ties in. So you can basically be a key member in that and knowing what you're doing. And we have a mapping fundamentals course right now, but it teaches sort of on like the basics of photogrammetry if you've never done it before. And then this is sort of the next step. So some of that pertains to LiDAR mapping. You're just using a different sensor, a little bit different processing, but there are some unique things with LiDAR that would probably need its own course. Is there any drone defense training in its use? You can look up counter UAS. I don't know if there's training. I know there are counter UAS companies out there, but I'm not totally sure. Ken, I'm going to take your course. Keep posted if I'm successful. Yes, do it. You can do it, Ken. Congratulations. Passed 107 last week. Oh, and signed up for the 1K deal. Sweet. Happy to have you in there. I'm building a simple web-based portal, 3D models, videos, photos for construction site updates. Who should I contact at construction companies to present this as a service? Good question. Web portal for 3D models. Probably project managers. You could ask superintendents, but they're usually more like on-site stuff. I would go for project managers, and then I would go ask their market, because project managers are going to be communicating the progress to external stakeholders. You guess you could contact supers. You could contact their marketing department. They may be interested in that. I would start there and say, hey, can I show you what I've got? Can I demo this for you? Here's how I think you could use it. You'll get people to say yes. Suggestion on drones in/with public safety. A lot of search and rescue stuff. You don't exactly get paid as a service for that. I know a lot of departments have their own drones, or you can volunteer with them. Search and rescue. I know there's some new stuff coming out with like Brink drones, BRINC. And I guess not super new. They've been out for a while, but they have some like first responder drones that are pretty interesting. I don't know if you're asking for specific types of drones. Maybe introducing LiDAR might work very soon. Cool. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I'll be interested in that. Yeah, LiDAR is pretty expensive thing to get into, but it can be very effective. It's cool. If you do, I know a great guy who does a lot of LiDAR stuff. He sells LiDAR equipment, but he's also great at like educating people on what is out there and how it works. His name is Chris Breedlove. He's actually one of the instructors for our advanced mapping course, but he does a lot of stuff with LiDAR. So Chris Breedlove works for Duncan Parnell. Super nice guy. You can reach out to him on LinkedIn. Do you have any in-person training? We don't. The closest thing we have is we do an in-person event once a year called Drone Launch Live, and it's for members of our Drone Launch Connect community. It's closed right now, but it will be opening up at the end of next month. It's done by the quarter. So it's like $87 a quarter. You're in our community. You have access to some trainings. We bring in guests all the time. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Anzu Robotics, but they made like a Mavic 3 Enterprise version that's non-Chinese made. Anyways, their CEO was in our community, I think last night maybe. We got people from UGCS. They're like a flight automation company. They're going to come in and do a Q&A. We've had people from Fly Guys that we've been talking to. Another guy, the Drone Bros. They do a lot of construction progress stuff. Members hold chats and different like happy hours and share stories with each other and help each other out. But for that community, once a year, we do it. And it's in November this year. And it's in Lakeland, Florida. Here, it's outside of Tampa. And we try to do trainings there, like members train other members on things that they're good at. So it'll be like a 2-day, 3-day event. That's the main thing. We gave away an in-person mapping training one time, and that was a lot of fun. We did that on a webinar, but it was kind of expensive because we paid for the flight, the food, the transportation, the lodging, all that stuff. But it was fun. It was good. That guy did the training, and he ended up going on and getting jobs. He got paid to do mapping for cemeteries. So it was cool. All right, Russell, way to get after it. Sign up for 3 drone job networks right now. Nice. Are there opportunities offering services for property inspections? Yeah. You just got to know the right ones. If you want, so I know people who have targeted like not homeowner associations, but people who manage like condo associations or like condo buildings. They're responsible for like the exterior of the building. So people have sold them like annual inspection services. Sometimes it's a specific need though, like, oh, hey, we're going to redo our parking lot and we need to make sure that this gets done right, or we need to identify all the big cracks in the parking lot or things like that. Bees 360 would be a good drone job network to sign up for inspections. They do a lot of inspection work. Although again, don't expect to get paid a ton. So would Christmas light footage be a good idea? Sure. You got to think, what's the demand? Like, who's your audience for Christmas light footage? But if you think it's something people will watch, again, get people to pay attention to you. That'd be good. Yes. Good job, Russell. Register it. You're welcome, Floyd. You're welcome, Lisa. All right. Cool, Ken. Good to have you in here. Any plans for a San Francisco in-person training? No. You know what? I've been to a lot of places in the country, tons of conferences and travel for filming courses. I've never, ever been to San Francisco. I've been to San Diego a bunch, but never been to San Francisco. Maybe I should do one out there. Himsy, what kind of training would you want out there if we did go out there to do some training? I'd be curious. Yeah, cemetery. I don't remember what they wanted. That guy who did the mapping training, they mapped out. They needed to see literally need to see the tombstones. I don't know if they were like replotting it or if they were doing some research. I don't remember what the purpose of it was, but they needed really accurate the really high resolution cameras, and they needed to see it and they needed it mapped out. And yeah, it was a large area, so it was perfect for mapping. You're welcome, Robin. I work as a web developer and have a client that does some home foreclosure inspections. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me know what you got. Oh, defense training. You don't want me to do that. I don't know anything about that. Defense as in like counter US, like taking drones out of the sky. I mean, I could find some. Here's what I'm good at. I'm good at finding other people who are good at stuff. So like the advanced mapping modeling course, I went out and found all those people and built relationships with them and said, hey, do you want to contribute to this course we're doing? And kind of shared with them. And they got excited. Yeah, I'd love to teach that. So I'm good at finding other people to teach. So if you want something specific, you let me know. I'm good at going to conferences and networking. And I find people, oh, you're good at this. You know what you're talking about. I'm going to bring you on and have you teach people. And then we partner together and we all shared it. I don't know about defense stuff. You talking about like karate chopping drones and stuff? Just kidding. It's getting late. All right. I think we've wound down a little bit. 72 of you are still hanging in here somehow after 2 hours and 15 minutes. All right. Best drone for high-speed automotive productions. Ooh. You see the Red Bull drone? They got it to keep up with a Formula One car. Red Bull FPV drone. You know, definitely an FPV drone. I can't say for sure because I'm not an FPV guy. However, Dusty Jolly, our community manager, would know this because he does FPV. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this comment. I'm going to give it to John Dicko. He hosts our Your Drone Questions Answered podcast. And I'll get him to bring someone out, either Dusty or another FPV person, and I'll get them to answer this. But I don't know. I'm sorry. Search and rescue jobs. Again, not much. I've never heard of many people getting paid for this because it's sort of just like, oh, a kid went missing. We need to go search and rescue right now. It's like, how often is that going to happen in your area? Unless you live maybe like on a beach where like you might get missing swimmers. But it's like, what are you going to do? Say, oh, hey, every time you call me out for search and rescue, you're going to pay me $500. Like, it's so quick. The jobs are so nebulous. And I just haven't heard of that being like a viable business model. I see it more of departments do that for themselves and they have their own drones so that they can deploy quickly. You can sometimes volunteer with organizations that do that. But I haven't heard of many jobs unless you're working for the department itself, Chad, what's up, man? Chad's a mapping extraordinaire. Glad you were here tonight, Chad. You bet. Yeah, like if you're getting a full-time job in like law enforcement or something like that, you'll definitely use it for search and rescue. But as far as like a drone service business, I have not seen that as a thriving business. I could be wrong, but any discount for Part 107 course? Can't swing the 1K course yet. No worries. Yes, email me, david@dronelaunchacademy.com. I'll give you something. We normally give, especially if people reach out to us, we give them a little, some discount on that if you want to pursue that. david@dronelaunchacademy.com. Sorry, I'm getting quiet because I'm getting tired. dronelaunchacademy.com. And just say, hey, David, you talked to me on the webinar tonight and said you give me a deal. Hook me up. Yeah, what's up, Chad? Talking about the Air 3 anti-collision feature is awesome. Yes, that saved me before, especially the one that's above. One time I was going to go up. There was an awning above me, and I didn't even see it. I was about to crash the drone right into it, and it stopped me right there. Would have crashed. Cool. Yeah, you bet. All right, everyone. If those are all the questions, I'm gonna dip out. But I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. Have a great time as always. Thank you for being a chatty comment section. And I hope to see you on the next training. Adios.